And here we all are. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I was just securing your panel. I know a lot of people were like, where are you? Where are you? But we're here. We're here on the HCast, episode number 45. I hope you're all well, and I hope you're all settled in nicely for a fantastic podcast for you all today. We've got a bit of a doozy. We're of course, going to be talking about the most recent weekend's box office, like we normally do on a Tuesday here, and what that means for the industry moving forwards, because I think it has quite large ramifications, but we'll get to that. And of course, box office, nice segue. We're talking about Tom Cruise Mission Impossible and the ramifications that has now had for Skydance, because they are now big D players in the industry, it seems. And then a whole host of other random topics, such as DC floundering. Yeah, and perhaps they know it. So very, very interesting. A few things just to get out the way. This podcast is usually demonetized, so it is actually funded by you guys that watch this. And what I like to do here is, as we get going, we cover our topics. You guys want to join in. Super chats are the way to do that. They're the way to support this show, keep it live on the air, because we do get demonetized, and we'll cover them. Some of these topics are now just their own separate video on the second channel because they're so good and they offer up such great conversations. They get segmented into their own content on the second channel. So like I said, you want to support, you like what we do, super chats are the way to do that. But as always, I am joined by a fantastic panel. We have, welcome back to the show, Chris Brawley. I think I said that right.
Yes, sir.
From Bleeding Fool. So we had you on before, went down a treat. People seem to like you. So you are back. I'm more than happy to have you back. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm really doing good, Nate. I'm really glad to be back.
Perfect. Just for those that don't know, quick 10-second intro to what Bleeding Fool is. 10 seconds.
10 seconds. We are the alternative right thinking towards pop culture, bleedingfool.com. If you've heard of Bleeding Cool, that ain't us. We're Bleeding Fool.
2 seconds to spare.
Beautiful.
Good. You can find links to Bleeding Fool down below in the description box. Should be there. I did add it. You might need to refresh, as well as the link to the second channel. That's down there as well. We got Tom Connors of Midnight's Edge After
Where
Dark.
that jerk owes me money.
How you doing, bud? You all right?
Oh, I'm doing the best I can. Thanks for having me.
Always.
It's nice to meet Chris, of course. I'm a big fan of Bleeding Fool.
Thank you. Big fan of Midnight's Edge.
I'm glad to hear it.
And Midnight's Edge After Dark. Come on.
That's right, Midnight's Edge. This is a mutual appreciation society podcast today.
Oh dear. I do like we do have some other guests that should be joining us as well.
Yes.
Nick from Echo Base Network. He always turns up a little bit late on a Tuesday. He's got work meetings and stuff. Culture Casino, who's usually here, is actually out at Mission Impossible, so he'll be joining us on Thursday, and by then at least me and him should have watched this film, so we should be able to give you a live review as well as the review that I'll have on the main channel. We actually just have shooting in here quickly as a member. So we've got a brand new membership, which is from Dragon Reborn 35. Darren has become a member at supporter level 1. So thank you so much. That's another way of supporting the channel. Memberships are a good way to do it. So thank you, guys who want to join memberships or via Patreon, because YouTube takes more of a percentage of your money than Patreon does. Even though I know people don't like Patreon, it's a good way to give me more money rather than YouTube take some of it. Anyway, so let's talk about the weekend's box office. Not really a surprise, kind of a surprise, but not, but funny, because Insidious, The Red Door is now in profit, whereas Indiana Jones is still at a massive loss. So second week, Indiana Jones is now... It is second week, is it? Is now second at the box office. Yeah. And now the third weekend, this weekend, you'll have Mission Impossible. It's done. It's dead. Indiana Jones is dead.
So it's actually fallen to like 3 the last few days too, I think. Sorry.
Oh, holy shit. No, you're fine. So Insidious The Red Door came out with a budget, I think, off the top of my head, it was $16 million Could be wrong. It could be $19 million, but it was a very, very tiny budget. And like we've been saying, I mean, I know you, Tom, we've said this a few times. Low budget horror is what recessions are made for. That's what happens in recessions.
Well, not just that, they're the most. I mean, they never, like, it's never been out of style, right? Like you can always release a horror movie, and 9 times out of 10 it manages to make its money back, because horror is a very easy kind of movie to sell to most audiences, especially the horror audience, which is very loyal. So
massively. So I just think brilliant, absolutely hilarious. Insidious comes out, boom, done, dead. It's in profit already. Can you imagine how Lucasfilm must feel right now?
I hope that Kathleen is clearing out her desk. The top 3 movies, 2 of them are in profit already. Sound of Freedom and Insidious: The Red Door.
And Sound of Freedom is the bigger kicker, really. And I'm sure we'll get more into that later.
Yeah. Indiana Jones is dead, and Kathleen Kennedy killed him. It's a shame.
It's so fun. I mean, the thing is, right, second weekend, Indiana Jones only took $26.5 million domestically. That is staggeringly bad. Like, staggeringly bad. It's not even. It's comedic, of course, but staggeringly bad.
Well, it's sad too, Nate. Shit. You know, it's sad because I loved Indiana Jones, right? I loved the movies, I loved the TV show, I loved the comic books, and there were all these high hopes that Kathleen, who was this protege of Spielberg and Lucas, right? Now, of course, we see it now, and we've got the benefit of hindsight for the last 6 or 7 years of her performance. But back in 2013, 2014, there was some hope, right?
Yeah.
And here's where we are. She's basically dug up a corpse of Indiana Jones and put a skin suit on, and it's a travesty. It's a disaster, and I'm here for it. I really am. I'm glad to see it.
Well, I think what's so comedic about this, like, one, the Insidious movie itself, you know, it was the most entertaining film being released the weekend just gone, right?
Yeah.
So it deserved to do well. Is it a great film? No, it's a good directorial effort by Patrick Wilson. He was actually the director on this film, and a lot of people didn't realize that. I think actually they should have pushed that a bit more, because you know, when I learned that,
I didn't know that.
Oh,
no, that's news to me. You're breaking news.
Exactly.
Wow.
But this is what I mean. Exactly. So he was behind the camera. He was the director. And there were some really interesting framing choices. Obviously, he's working with the cinematographer as well.
Sure.
But there was some of the stuff was relatively unique and quite enjoyable to watch, and also appreciate from someone who's a newbie director. And he also sung the outro credits song as well.
Wow.
This guy is incredibly talented.
Yes.
And so, you know, kudos to the film doing very well, because it is doing very well. I mean, $64 million worldwide. It's already in profit now, because it would have had a tiny marketing budget. They wouldn't have had a lot of money. They're not plastered everywhere. They're not like hundreds of millions of dollars spent on this. And I think what's interesting about this is that this is now back under Sony as well. So Sony has just beaten Lucasfilm and, you know, by proxy Disney with their massive tentpole, should be a tentpole, Indiana Jones, which $26.5 million. Not good.
Good for Sony, though. Good for Sony.
Well, I think what was interesting about the Sony thing, right, is that Sony originally bought the rights to Insidious when it was debuted. And then they were like, we don't really believe in it. We're just gonna give that away effectively. Yeah. And so then they were like, actually, you know what? Like, just recently, essentially, they're like, you know what? No, we want it back. So we're going to secure the distribution rights back with us, because they sold it to a company that was absorbed by Universal at the time, which is why it then became a Universal, movie. For most of them, and they're like, no, actually, which is good, like good for Sony as well.
Which is kind of against Tom Rothman's not usually like that. So yeah, it is kind of a strange move for him.
Exactly, right? Like quite odd. You think that they would just release it and like just release it? Like you bought it. Why would you? Very odd.
Yeah.
Very, very odd. And they wouldn't have spent much for it either. So bit interesting. But I mean, this is the death of Indiana Jones, unequivocally,
Mm.
absolutely unequivocally. It's dead. It will not make it back now.
It's
I
over.
mean, Tom, estimates on how much this movie is now going to lose.
Oh, God.
Lose.
At least 250 to 300 million dollar range we're estimating right now, simply because we heard that they spent around $100 million on the marketing budget after they had pulled back on it. And then this is, I think, just the recent numbers. I don't think this counts all the money that they had spent on it prior to this, because they had saturated the market with this movie. They had the Super Bowl ad. It's been showing on basketball for all of spring here, whatever it was, the Big Ten and all that stuff, March Madness, everywhere, just inundated, to the point where even my dad, it's one of those few times my dad actually brought up, speaking of the devil, I think he just walked in the door, brought up a movie, and he was all for wanting to see it until I told him the plot. So yeah, I think between all that business, it's looking at least 300 million easy.
Yeah. Chris, you got an?
I think 300 million is the number. That's the number I'm sticking with. I think it's 300. And what did they pay? What did Disney pay for Lucasfilm? $4 billion? Was it $4 billion, Tom? I think it was.
It was $4 billion. Yeah.
So, and they've lost $1 billion in just the past year with Pixar and everything else. Have they gotten an ROI on the purchase of Lucasfilm? I mean, has it been a loss leader the whole time?
I think the prequels would have made. They made some money. You'd have to sit down and figure it out exactly how much they. Not the sequel. Sorry, not the prequel.
Sequel trilogy. Right. Yeah.
They would have made some money. But yeah, I mean, as a brand, they've destroyed Star Wars. They've now destroyed Indiana Jones. They cancelled Willow, so they destroyed that because the viewership was so bad. They don't actually have anything now. They've got nothing.
Well, they've only got one formula. What the formula is: new girl with no weaknesses takes over for the old hero and makes him look like a clown. They did it to Luke. They did it in Willow, and they've done it now to Indiana Jones. I don't know why they keep doubling down, tripling down on the same formula over and over. It clearly does not work, and these movies and films will be hated for years.
Haven't you heard that phrase? Doing different things and expecting different results is the definition of insanity.
Insanity, yeah.
It's not the other way, That's Kathleen Kennedy's saying is, no, if we do different things and expect different results, that's insanity. We must do the same thing and hope for a different result. That's her mantra.
That's a good explanation for what's going on. Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be. I really think that Lucasfilm, they should correct course, right? How do they do that? I think a good first step would be to go back to I think it's called the Hambly edits or the despecialized edits. I'm not sure what they are, but somebody went back and removed all the special editions.
I don't think they're allowed to. Don't think they're allowed to. Tom was speculating recently that they're not actually allowed to do that, in fairness. So,
they need to work it out, because they need to do that and put it on a 4K release, home video release.
Yeah, I think. Just release it back in theaters. In fairness, work out a new deal with distributors.
Yeah, to start with. Yeah, hey, let's all make some money. That's how you work that out. Let's all make some money.
Well, this is the other thing, isn't it? Right, like the theaters are going to be pissed by this, because the theaters will now have some level of control and sway over Disney, whereas Disney before, used to waltz in with their big D, swinging, like, no, I'm going to boss you around. You work for us. You will make the money. Blah 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 blah. Because we're going to make the money, so you will get whatever cut we decide. Right. It's not the way anymore, because they literally don't have the financials to back it up.
Yep.
Which is
couldn't happen to a better studio.
No. So my prediction, I think 300 is. I think that is the number. I mean, they spent like $350 million on this alone. That puts it at $700 million break-even point without even looking at the marketing budget. So it's easily $300 million.
I have a fun speculation question. Who suffers the most from this? Does Bob Iger or Kathleen Kennedy?
Shareholders.
Okay. Well, I assume the shareholders are the ones that are going to be out for blood.
Yeah, but the bigger shareholders are the ones which get their voice heard. But the individual shareholders
they are the ones
really angry. No one's going to have any dividends. They were promising dividends. They're not going to have any dividends now. Done. So they lose out the most, actually.
Good point.
They lose out the most. So we got some. What we got here? We got some super chats. Let's get to some of these guys. Thank you so much, ladies and gents, for joining in the conversation with your super chats. Again, this show is usually demonetized. You've heard us curse a little bit. You know, we'll be getting onto some topics later, which are a little bit, YouTube doesn't like it. So we do get demonetized. So this podcast is quite literally, you know, the lights are kept on by you guys doing this. So thank you so much. Al Humphreys says, all right, Mr. H and the panel, I watched Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 yesterday, and it's really good. I highly recommend it. Is it not on at your local Empire yet, Mr. H, mate? All the best, Jasper. So my local Empire is actually shut down. They've got into administration, so they actually just shut their doors.
It's terrible news.
They're gone, yeah. So I now have to drive. Well, I can go to the same area to a theater. But yeah, I drove like 40 minutes on Sunday to go watch Insidious. So a bit balls, to be honest. It's sad seeing local theaters shut down. It was released though, like it is available to see today. I just haven't had a chance.
I thought it was coming out today. How did Al Humphreys see it on Monday or on Monday?
Yeah, so Al is London based, and so a lot of the London theaters will have an advanced screening almost a day before the advanced screening. I used to get it a lot when I was in London as well.
Nice.
Yeah, like the Odeons and stuff up there. They must have some weird arrangement, but they get it before. A lot of them do get it before, like advanced screenings. But yeah, so I will be watching that. Al, don't I'll be watching that probably tomorrow. Is the aim? It'll either be tomorrow or Thursday. I've been chasing some bits and pieces today.
Awesome.
So we got £10 from Rob Hatherley. It says, greetings, guys. Saw Asteroid City a few days ago. Enjoyed it. And got Mission Impossible tomorrow. Can't wait. And then Oppenheimer on the 21st, which is also my birthday. Killers of the Flower Moon looks good too. There's not a lot of good stuff coming out, but there does seem to be in quick succession some decent bits and pieces for the summer. Not a lot.
No.
It's not like a summer blockbuster season, obviously, but there's some decent bits coming out. I mean, I'm looking forward to Mission Impossible.
Yes.
I'm looking forward tentatively to Oppenheimer because I like Cillian Murphy. Christopher Nolan's always worth a watch.
Sure.
I haven't seen Asteroid City. And
I like Wes Anderson. I like Wes.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, you know that you're watching a movie. You know what I mean? You don't get sucked into the story. It's all theater, right? It's just fun.
Yeah. And Killers of the Flower Moon does look good, actually.
It does. And if Flash and Indy 5 had been any good, this would be a hell of a summer.
That is, true. Very, very true. We got $5 here from Hey You. Says, my dad asked me to see Indiana Jones Dial Up the Fun too. I had to tell him no and explain why. We're going to see Oppenheimer or Mission Impossible instead. I'd say you're probably on completely the right track there.
Yeah, they'll have a better time. Yeah.
What a waste of everyone's time that would be. Jesus Christ alive. We got one more super chat before we move on. So from Tom Working for $5 says, placating shareholders. The big problem is actual good product for what they're making suffers from that very caveat. Well, the thing is, they're only placating to the biggest shareholders, which are the ones which are pulling the ESG purse strings. Purse strings. But hopefully that's coming to a close now. So I wonder what direction they'll take. But we'll have to see on that.
Well, we've already seen the direction. They're going to stick with some ESG, but they're just changing the names. And instead of being the social and LGBTQ movements, it's going to be now environmental. In fact, you've already seen it in some films, and there's even a DreamWorks movie coming out about ducks that's all about environmental stuff, for instance. Trying to remember the movie. It's like Migrate or something like that it's called. But yeah, no, it's going to be the next thing. But we'll see how long that lasts too.
Yeah.
Yeah, DreamWorks isn't having a very good summer either.
Outside of Mario, no. Really, it's everybody.
Yeah.
If you're not, I mean, this summer has been. Spider-Verse was the only movie I think that overperformed for the studios. Insidious is doing well, of course, but as we pointed out earlier, horror is the only thing that really has done well this year.
Yeah.
Megan,
well, now, like you said, Super
Evil
Mario,
Dead,
I think it
etc.
overperformed.
Yes, it technically overperformed
Sure.
compared to expectations.
Yeah.
But everything else is underperformed or flat out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even Fast and Furious didn't do as well as they were hoping for. And we're still, and it's kind of shaky ground right now on how Mission Impossible is going to do, I'm hearing.
Well, we'll get to that. That is actually one of our topics. Tom, I gave you this.
I know, and I try not to.
Tom. Fucking, but anyway. Last but not least on these super chats, Mr. Tickle Trunks for 10 Canadian dollars, those dirty Canadian dollars, says, please give this to your producer or at least spend it on toys or treats for the furry bugger. He is, of course, referring to the Lord and Savior of the channel, Mr. Jasper. Yeah. For those that don't know, that is the cutest, furriest
Where is
friends.
he today?
I think he's on my bed.
He's not on the couch.
No, he's been here a few times here and there, but yeah, he's on my bed. But if you also want to support the channel, guys, and also support Jasper, get him his treats, you can get these "Get Me Off This Clown World" design on a T-shirt, which is actually linked
that is so cute
underneath the show right now via my Teespring store. I'm going to be bringing them in house, so just as an FYI, they're definitely overpriced. Like, I'm well aware, but if you want to grab it, you can. But I want to bring all of that in house and get it off Teespring because it's fucking well expensive, and it's not worth it. Like,
yeah,
I'm not going to say it's
we
worth
don't use
buy
Teespring
one.
either.
Yeah, I'm not saying buy one because it's definitely not worth it. But if you want to, you can. All right, because they're well expensive. Even I know that. I'm like, but I've got to, shill some shit. Anyway, let's shuffle on, ladies and gents, to what you alluded to, but what I also alluded to is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Supposedly actually opening to a franchise record with 250 million plus global opening. So it's not bad. It's set to hit like $90 million domestic. It's supposed to do, and then $160 million abroad. And it's opening basically worldwide, 70 markets. Done. 70 markets, proper broad wide spectrum. They managed to do that, secure that. But it is a 5-day opener. So $250 million for 5 days. Not epic. It's not great.
No, I think it'll hit 100 domestic.
I was thinking they were under. I mean, thoughts instantly on that because I think they're kind of undershooting that.
I do too.
Bit.
Yeah, I agree with you. The reviews are spectacular. They're pulling out all the stops on the marketing. Tom Cruise is one of the last remaining superstars. He really saved cinemas with Top Gun 2. People want this. They know it's not going to be woke, and it's just going to be entertaining. And this is like, I think a lot of times movies today are all about the destination. Like, where do we end up in this third act and what's the lesson? But with Tom Cruise, the ride, that the journey is the entertainment, right? You don't ride a roller coaster and you can't wait for the ending. You ride the roller coaster to enjoy every minute of the ride. And that's the way a Tom Cruise movie is. Yeah. And I think people, that's what they want. And especially, I almost think there's some pent-up demand, just like your super backer said about wanting to go with his dad, right? You wanted to go see Indiana Jones, but you already know that's a failure. It's not going to be fun. It's going to leave you depressed and sad. I don't think this movie is going to leave anybody depressed and sad. You're probably going to be excited and fired up and ready for part 2. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think that's a great analogy. You are there for the spectacle.
Yes.
You're there to enjoy, and also because Tom Cruise has made a name for himself doing such insane, crazy stunts and being the stunt man. I mean, I remember when he broke his leg doing that building jump. He broke his tibia, and then I remember the airplane
hanging out of the plane.
G.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
So 0G in the plane. Then he was hanging out of the plane. Just so many stunts that he does. You're like, well, okay, but you're absolutely right. You're there for the spectacle.
Yes,
I think they are undershooting this. I mean, $90 million domestic. Tom, what do you think about this? Tom's dead.
I don't know. See, I'm kind of two minds on Mission Impossible because I have heard that a lot of the, at least a couple of the people I talked to that did manage to go to the screenings last night said they were sold out. But I've had a few people sending me images today of Sound of Freedom screenings sold out for tonight, but Mission Impossible is only having like 2 to 6 people only so far. Again, it's a Tuesday night.
Yeah, okay.
Last night was a fan event. Keep that in mind. I don't know if it's going to do this well. I think it's going to do well, but I wonder if it's going to underperform as well, along with everything else this year. I mean, again, though, you guys are right. Tom Cruise is the only kind of sure, quote-unquote, thing anymore as far as Hollywood goes. He is really one of the only movie stars left. This is the 7th film in a franchise, though. And I've been binging on all of them this last weekend here because I've never seen all. I only saw the first 2 originally.
First one was epic.
The first one's great. They've all kind of just go downhill from there. And I know, look, and full disclosure, they're just not really my cup of tea.
Okay.
I
would disagree. I think the third one
that's
much
more
better
so kind of just my kind of thing.
Okay.
I mean, I actually have some issues with the third one, but that's just because of the sequels.
Yeah.
But like, again, to me, it felt like
I got
not so much continuity, but things that they do to characters and the way they reveal things. It's just kind of like, because I like them, they're all right. But when I watch a heist kind of movie, I prefer things like The Italian Job or something like that. And the problem with Mission Impossible is it has been satirized so many times. The original show was satirized to hell. By the time the movie came out, the things from the original movie have been satirized so much. It's kind of the same problem I had coming to Bond late to the game, to where I'm kind of just watching this going, I get it, but I don't quite get the hype.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I wonder how this is going to do as a 7th film in the franchise. That's the only other thing.
Well, you know what? Like, I don't think I don't, for Mission Impossible, right? I don't think it being satirized is to a detriment, actually. I think with Mission Impossible, it being satirized keeps it in the public eye, keeps it in their brain a lot more. And with Tom Cruise being so,
you're not wrong, but what I'm getting at is like when I would watch it, like I would find myself laughing at some of the stunts and goofy stuff that's in the movie. To me, because of
that's part of it as well. That's what I mean. Like, I actually think that's good because it shows a certain. You're not bored.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah. No.
See what I mean? Like, you're still entertained. I actually think that I think that bodes well. I think that puts it more in its favor. Genuinely.
No, I'm not trying to dump on the movies. I'm just saying it's more like I'm just kind of like it's not for me. I actually canceled my tickets because I couldn't even get through the 5th movie in time to go see it, on top of a few other reasons. And I'm just like, or 6th movie or whichever one I was on.
Is that Fallout or Rogue Nation?
Fallout.
Okay.
Yeah, like 3 and 4 were okay, like you said. 3 was a step up at least for somewhat from part 2, but then I had issues going into the 4th one. That they said,
The 4th one I kind of liked a lot, and that was Brad Bird who directed.
Yeah,
it
was.
I like Brad's stuff, but
and then I
think Abrams was sort of engaged with like 3 and 5 and 6.
He's bit, and Kurtzman wrote the 3rd one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think this bodes well for a good summer block.
As far as that goes, to be able to go in, sit down.
And it's been 5 years. It's been 5 years since the last one, I think.
People have said that you haven't even had to have really seen all the other ones. I think Nick Weiser, a guy who streams with me on Mead and some other channels, said, they kind of get you up to speed if you've missed out on anything.
Yeah, good.
Well, that's good. Yeah. That's really good. That's really good. Well, another really good.
And hasn't Chris McQuarrie directed like the last 2 in this one too? Or?
He has.
This is his
sorry.
Yeah, and he did the screenwriting for several of them. So I mean, it's going to be of a theme.
Yeah, no. So he's doing this and part 2, basically. Let's get us some super chats real quick. Let's remember milestone here. I did see that, Olaf. Don't worry, my dude. I'm on it now. So Finbar White has been a member for 29 months at supporter level 1. Absolutely incredible. Thank you so much. And says, hey, you haven't been here for a while, Finbar. Where you been? Says, hey, Mr. H, everyone. Join the chat late. Have any of you seen the new Wonka trailer? If so, any thoughts? Hope you're okay. Keep smiling. I've not seen it, and the reason why is I was busy. I had to do a Ahsoka trailer reaction, and because it's not something I would do sort of a reaction to on the channel, it wasn't prioritized. So I actually haven't seen it. I was intrigued to see what the view count would be in the like to dislike ratio, primarily because it is Timothée Chalamet, and he obviously has that massive young sort of girl following, I guess, however you want to put it. And I'm intrigued to see what they're sort of doing with it on a sort of tangential level, but I haven't seen it. Have you seen the Wonka trailer?
I've seen no, I've only seen some production stills from it. It's a prequel, like a young Willy Wonka. So I don't know. I mean, I hope it does well, and I like the actor too. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm kind of tentative. Yeah. I'm a bit apprehensive about that kind of stuff. I don't know. We'll see.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Tom?
Chalamet has a following, so yeah, it's possible. But I watched about 20 seconds of the trailer, and I'm like, nope.
Not for you. It's not made for you, Tom. It's not made for you. Yeah, right.
Oh, well, full disclosure, my biggest issue is like the Burton remake. My biggest problem with it wasn't how weird Johnny Depp was acting or anything like that. My biggest issue was, why are you giving Willy Wonka a backstory?
Yeah.
That takes away all the mystery of who he is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that Gene Wilder took the role originally, he was like, he loved the idea that you can never trust this guy.
Right.
And he said, first and foremost, he goes, I'll take the role. But he goes, when I first come out and they introduce me in the movie, I want to be able to act like I have like a bum leg and then go into a somersault. So from here on out, nobody in the audience trusts a single thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
And he totally got the character, right?
He did.
That's the way the character should
perfect.
be. So, like, again, Timothy might do okay. I just was watching this and I'm just like, no.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see.
Just real quick, we've got Nick here from Nick Talks Entertainment. Link
What's
to that
up,
channel
guys?
down below.
Hey, Nick.
How's it going?
How's it going?
Good. Not too bad. Not too bad.
What I missed so far?
Not too much really. We'll shuffle onto a topic in a minute. We've got to get through some super chats first,
right.
but we just covered Indy 5 bombing now, Insidious making profit opening weekend, and Indy 5 being bumped down way off. So
yeah, I actually went and saw
comical.
Sound of Freedom on Sunday, and
Nice.
it was awesome.
Keep your thoughts to yourself because we'll cover that later on.
Okay, all right.
So anyway, we've got £2 super chat from John Apocalypse. Says John Wick 4 made $100 million more than the third one. They've consistently gone up and up and up and up.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that earlier. We should have. Yeah, that's a good catch.
Mr. Tickle Trunk says hashtag in Jasper we trust. Absolutely. Jasper's a little legend. Bought him a new toy today on my grocery store shop.
I love Mr. Tickle Trunk's avatar.
Yeah, he makes some really cool ones. And we got $5 from Voldemar Perez Jr. Says, just saw Mission Impossible last night. Theatre was packed. Can't wait to see part 2. So I think conflicting reports. I mean, it's a Tuesday night, isn't it? It's interesting how people have managed to see it last night. Yeah, it's like, again, advanced previews upon advanced previews.
Yep.
But that's good. That bodes really, really well. Olaf Van Ness for €2. I've got it. I'm on it. Don't you worry about it, dude. Thanks, though. Kung Fu Hot Dog for £5 says, Muscle Man H, if you wore a Hawaiian shirt, the UK would have its own Magnum PI. Mission Impossible 7 should make $280 million opening. Prefer this franchise to 007. Well, to obviously address the caterpillar upon my top lip, tomorrow is the last day I'm having it, and then it gets cut off, so it will be gone. So if you've all enjoyed
Kind of
this,
getting used to it.
Actually, no, I honestly don't hate it. You know,
I think it's a great porn stash. It's a wonderful porn stash.
I was gonna say, there's not many guys who can pull off a mustache. Tom Selleck.
Take a few profile pictures of it just in case you want to
What's
relive
his
it.
face? Sam Elliott is like the only other guy I can think of. There's not too many guys that can pull off a mustache, and you're one of them. Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds.
Well, I did it as a bit of a chuckle, really. So it was like a deal / agreement with someone that I had to do it. So,
well, there's just no two ways around it. Either you just look like a complete creepo, or you look like a teacher. Only few people can pull it off and actually look manly.
I think he looks like a manly.
That's what detective. I think. He looks like a cop.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh God, comedy. Anyway, let's
move on.
Let's move on. $280 million opening. Yeah, I mean, $30 million more. It could do it. It could do it. I think it's got the potential. It's got a really big budget, though. But I don't know if the budget that they're quoting, 291 million, is for part 1 and part 2. I don't know if they've wrapped that all into one. Because if it's $291 million for one movie, that's a lot of money they need to make to turn profit.
I don't recall. I know they were fighting over it back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
I think even Tom sued him or something like that over the whole thing.
Yeah, Well,
I don't remember the what actually came of it all. But
it's been going for so bloody long, so a lot of this stuff's been lost to the ether. Hey, you for $5 says, I think Mission Impossible 7 will ride the cruise wave from Top Gun and the previous Mission Impossible. People who missed that in theaters regret it due to the amazing camera work and live action. Agree. I think a lot of people were like, I mean, that movie had a massive audience, but still, I think a lot of people were, sort of remiss that they weren't able to see that in theaters as well. So, guys, let's shuffle on to a really interesting topic. It's all centered around budgets, profits, things like that. We've obviously just quoted what Deadline is reporting Mission Impossible to make. $250 million worldwide. Well, it looks like Skydance knows something that we don't, along with JP Morgan, because Skydance Media, the company behind Mission Impossible at the moment, has closed a $1 billion credit facility at JP Morgan. Pretty huge stuff. Like, that's them really moving up in the world. That's quite big. So just for a bit of a background before we discuss it, Skydance Media has closed a new 5-year, $1 billion credit facility led by JP Morgan, doubling the amount of a prior credit arrangement led by the financial institution. So David Ellison's co-finance and production house is poised for a high point Wednesday with the global release of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is on track for a franchise record global opening. The new credit facility extends the company's long-term relationship with JP Morgan, and it replaces a 4-year, $500 million revolving credit facility established in 2020. And announcing the new facility, Skydance also noted a recent $400 million investment, rounding value the company at more than $4 billion. That's more than what Lucasfilm was purchased for. That round was led by KKR and the Ellison family, and joined by existing investors Redbird Capital Partners and Tencent. So I think Tencent's China-owned, which is a bit of a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Along with the Mission Impossible franchise, Skydance has backed Top Gun Maverick, as well as popular streaming films Ghosted, The Tomorrow War, and The Old Guard, The Adam Project. So, I mean, it's pretty big. We also, a statement as well. It says, we're incredibly proud to build upon our long-standing relationship with Skydance Media as they continue to grow. This facility and the immense support from the entertainment banking community stand as a true testament to the strength of their business and quality content across platforms. That's a pretty big thing. What do we think? Because that's doubled. They've just doubled their credit instantly. Previous one, $500 million. Now they're like, yeah, billion. There you go, done. Valued at over $4 billion now. Skydance is. That's crazy.
I'm trying to think of what does Skydance put out?
Well, Mission Impossible.
Okay, they're the ones doing Mission Impossible. Okay,
they had a hand to play, as I just read out, basically. So they had a hand to play in Top Gun Maverick, The Tomorrow War on Prime Video, The Old Guard, The Adam Project on Netflix, Ghosted on Apple TV. And they've also
Transformers.
Transformers,
I think.
Oh, okay, yeah, and and they also, isn't Skydance now the one which has John Lasseter working for them with a kids animation studio? Isn't it?
Oh, maybe, which would be a huge plus.
I believe so.
Yeah.
So they really they've
been around for a while.
They've got a pretty good pedigree.
I mean, I'd say that's them turning into pretty big players. That's massive, I'd say.
I mean, they're probably right behind. Oh crap! What's that company that did Dune and
Legendary?
Legendary, yeah, they're probably right behind Legendary as far as how big they are. As far as I guess you'd call them like an independent major production company because they work with several different studios, but yeah.
Well, they're the production company that then has distributors similar to
Right.
Legendary, so sort of co-finance. So Legendary, the deal that you're alluding to, Legendary typically does like a 75% production budget for most of their stuff. So Legendary are the guys that actually make the Godzilla stuff. They make it, they own it, they run it, and then Warner Brothers comes in and gives them 25% and distribution rights, just to bump up. The final 25%, the final quarter.
I think Skydance also worked on the latest Terminator films.
They fucking did. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Maybe.
Oh, Blue Sky is who
they did.
last
You're
year's
right.
with.
They did Dark Fate. That's right. And
but isn't Blue Sky part of Skydance? Isn't it the same company?
It might be. Let me look.
They did Star Trek Beyond. They've done a few of the Mission Impossibles. They've done some of the Jack Reacher. They've done a few of the Terminator movies, Jack Ryan movies. They've done some Tom Cruise stuff. So, I mean, he likes working with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just looking at, they did hire John Lasseter for their animation, Skydance animation in January of 2019.
I thought
It looks like they're
Blue
actually...
Sky doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
Well, maybe it's just Skydance Animation.
I think so, because it says defunct. It used to be 20th Century Fox was Blue Sky, yeah.
Yep, and it's just Skydance Animation now.
And so John Lasseter works for that's hilarious.
Yep.
So Disney buys Lucasfilm for $4 billion. Pixar's going down the drain. They're losing over $1 billion this year alone already. Now Skydance comes in valued at over $4 billion. They've nabbed John Lasseter, the person who made Pixar.
Yeah.
Oh god, that's hilarious. It'll be really interesting to see what happens. I think.
Yeah.
With Skydance now, because that's a big move. I mean, Mexican Iron Man's in the chat, and I mean he straight up said it himself. That's a massive financial, massive financial thing. It's huge. That's massive, and for them to be valued at over $4 billion, that's crazy. That's really, really, really big. Really, really big. Yeah, huge.
It almost feels like these studios smell blood in the water with all these like Disney films bombing, all these other woke media companies that putting out this garbage and completely bombing at the box office. And it seems like some of these other studios are investing their money in their products and trying to take top spots here.
Animation's tough, DreamWorks just had their worst opening ever with Ruby Gillman. Teenage Kraken just came out, and that new Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie looks terrible. Looks awful.
Yeah,
and so, and I appreciate that they're trying to do it with a different palette. They're trying to. It almost looks like a little kid drew the characters.
It's terrible.
All the fonts. Yeah, I agree. It's awful. It's not for me, but. Animation, I think, is a really tough gamble. And I think with somebody like Lasseter, who wasn't he forced out of Pixar because he hugged people or something? Yep. I think something ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's because of that ridiculousness that I'm glad Pixar is struggling. It's because of the ridiculous of Kathleen Kennedy that I'm glad Lucasfilm is struggling, and so on and so forth. But I think as a whole, animation is really a huge gamble. It really is. And that's why I think the mainstream access media or the entertainment media was so down on Super Mario Brothers, because it was a video game adaptation, and who knows how it's going to go,
message.
Right? Yeah, no message. Right.
Illumination Studios, who did Mario, I think they're going to end up taking over top spot. As this Nintendo Cinematic Universe starts to unfold and they start putting out more content, I think they'll easily take the top spot. I mean, when you invest $100 million into a animation movie and it turns out and makes over $1 billion, you
gotta be careful though. I mean, at the end of the day, I hope they don't think everybody wants to go see a Luigi movie. Right?
Yeah, if they start getting stupid with it and doing these spin-offs.
I think they're going to do...
I do say that, Tom. What do you say?
Here's the thing that's funny about that, because I was like, oh, I bet you Yoshi is probably the most popular Mario character. I went and looked it up. Luigi, by a long shot, is the most popular of all the Mario characters. Believe
Except
it or not.
Mario, or more than Mario?
No, more than Mario. He
Oh my
sells,
gosh!
yeah, he sells more stuff than Mario. I guess he's the more popular of the two brothers. I can see it though.
Luigi's Mansion, has
Luigi's
a huge
Mansion,
following,
and some other stuff.
huge
Yeah,
following
yeah.
too.
Okay, well, I can.
Well,
see
don't
a
be
Donkey
surprised
Kong
if we get a
maybe.
Luigi's Mansion movie. Yeah,
I think they'll do
Donkey
it.
Kong.
But anyway,
they could
you
put
guys
Mario in a
are.
Donkey Kong movie. That'd be interesting.
I
Sorry.
agree. Yeah, sure.
No. You guys are right. Re Illumination, though. I think that they're going to take over. But it'll be interesting to see what Skydance does with John Lasseter under them. Because I think they did announce that there was a movie that they were working on with John Lasseter, or it had already been released or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but I know that they've already started and their sort of relationship is there, which again just adds to that market share value that they've got of, over $4 billion, which is just crazy to think about. So we do have 2 super chats. Tom Working, $2. Mr. H, late 70s porn stash, votes. Fuck's sake.
He's got my vote.
But I don't hate it, all right? I don't hate it. All right? I don't hate it. It is going, though, but I don't hate it. I miss my beard. When I had my full-blown beard, I miss that. But it's too hot at the moment for that nonsense. I think I look friendlier without a beard as well. I think that always matters. Anyway, BA for $4.99 says they removed the Batman as a fascist line from the Blue Beetle trailer. It's dead on arrival. So that actually segues us really nicely off into our next topic, BA. So you've made it. You're in the clip because we're going to talk about this.
Oh, it's Miguel
after the Flash.
From Cobra Kai.
Well, after the Flash, it's cameos created at the box office. Blue Beetle star promised the film includes more than one character that you'll recognize. They're really scared that this film is going to tank now.
Yeah, I don't know if the Batman
really
line's getting edited, but the new trailer doesn't have it in as far as that goes, if that's what he means. Yeah.
Well, right. But it's not just that. Like, the director's been running
come out and apologized
previously, so now he's apologizing. He's tried begging people to see the movie. I think they're really scared, and they should be. They absolutely should be scared. Like, this is now finally companies and creatives, whatever you want to call them, understanding that you have to appease an audience. You can't just keep doing this to your audience and expecting to get away with it. It doesn't work. And I think this is them finally going, shit. The Flash has lost hundreds of millions of dollars. Probably not a good tactic. Let's try and get people on sides.
Do we think Batman is going to show up?
Oh, that's interesting. God, I hope not. Because
I heard something about Wonder Woman for some reason.
Well, they use Wonder Woman in everything for a cameo, right? The only good Wonder Woman cameo was Shazam 2, I thought.
Well, they got to get their money out of her after they've spent $100-some million on her after Wonder Woman 84. Right?
Well, they've probably got her signed to a few movie deals. They need to go ahead and tap out. I have
no idea. It's just cheap to get her. She's probably the cheapest one to get in the cameo.
I'm sure you're right.
That is true. So, speaking with the rap at the premiere of Barbie, Mara Duena, I don't know how to say that, was asked, will DC fans get any people or cameos in there that we'll be surprised by? Well, look, if you're a DC fan, this is the first time that Blue Beetle's coming to the big screen. So that's going to be amazing. And I think, of course, well, I mean, it's just such a simpleton answer as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Blue Beetle's first one coming to the big screen. It's amazing. I think, of course, like any DC movie, we're going to see it's a superhero movie. Yeah, obviously, dipshit. When pressed on whether I know, God, honestly, there are some actors that should not be allowed to be interviewed because they give the most nonsense answers and they just show themselves to be incredibly stupid. They lack all cognitive ability. This is one of them.
I just give him grace. I mean, he's so young, and I'm sure he's excited, because at least he's not Ezra Miller. I'm going to give him that at least. He's not that cringy.
Nah, mate, he's got handlers. All right, I'm not buying this nonsense.
Is this
He's
an
got handlers.
entourage sort of thing?
He's got handlers around him. They all got handlers around him. They've been prepped on what to say. Come on now.
I'm playing
Anyway,
devil's advocate. You're right.
I know. When pressed on whether or not there's a cameo, he responded, "I don't know. You got me here. I think if you're a DC fan, there's going to be more than just one character that you'll recognize. I can tell you that." So there you go.
So what if you're not a DC fan? I mean, how can you be at this point after the Flash?
I don't even know who Blue Beetle is, and
this is the third iteration of Blue Beetle. This is not even everyone's favorite. That's the shame of this.
This is true. Well, I think this will be interesting. You know, you got George Lopez's character called him Batman a fascist. Like everyone's been saying, they've now removed it from. They sort of edited out the trailer. So that was in the first trailer.
The people that thought that was funny are the toxic people that work over there. Yeah. And George Lopez is toxic. I mean, you just listen to his shows. He's completely off the rails.
Well, I was the director. It is the director as well.
I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, and the director did come out in his apology and point out that the whole Lopez thing is basically what I was assuming. It's this joke, this ongoing joke throughout the film, where basically George Lopez doesn't like any superheroes, period. Okay. And irony of ironies, now his nephew is a superhero. So that's the joke. But the problem is you have to put in some other jokes in there to make it land, right?
That's right.
Just having one joke in there saying, oh, Batman's a fascist, that doesn't land. Now, if you had a line before that, like, oh, the Flash wants to impress me, maybe he should get a job at Pizza Hut because I can't get my pizza in less than 30 minutes or something like that. And then another line about, oh, Wonder Woman should cover up. That floozy's always running around with no clothes on.
Yes.
Then you have the Batman as a Flash line.
Right.
Then it will land better. See, as it is now, it just sounds like he's
saying, the Flash is a flake or something.
Or something like that. Exactly. Something like a few other things.
Yeah.
Superman's an illegal alien. Prove me wrong. Right. Something like that.
Then you just wouldn't think that he's a political social justice warrior. But the problem is George Lopez is a political social justice warrior. And everyone knows that. And then when he says that, and it's like, who is the most popular DC character of all time in any poll? It's Batman. Period.
Usually Batman,
it's usually Batman. It might not be your favorite or mine, but generally speaking, to general audiences, Batman's the biggest one.
Well, and that's because he's the only one doesn't have superpowers. People can relate to him the most. On top of a million other things.
That's a whole other discussion. Right. But the fact of the matter is it's Batman. And so in your first trailer, you're going to insult Batman? Okay. Good luck.
Well, but it's also coming off the heels of the DC being rebooted.
Yes.
Ben Affleck, which was a lot of people's favorite Batman, being axed, etc. So it was in bad taste. It was completely in bad taste.
It was a bad.
But the director himself as well, you know, he's been putting his Twitter on private after it was revealed that he hoped Trump would be assassinated, and he believes Puerto Rico is a slave colony. Obviously, he's now run. You know, he's come out and basically like apologized and all this kind of nonsense as well. But yeah, it's just bad taste.
Yeah, it is.
What an idiot.
You know, back when the first Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse came out, that director, Peter, I can't remember his last name, it was supporting Antifa, you know. So, and it didn't hurt the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think the director hurts the movie. Like, what was the guy's name? Tim Miller, who said, if you don't like Terminator, the female Terminator, you're a misogynist.
Scare the shit out of you or whatever. I think.
Yeah. I don't really think the director saying stuff off the cuff like that hurts the movie as bad as the actors hurt the movie. That's just me, though.
It depends on the director, I'd argue, Chris. That's at least my take on it. I mean, with Tim Miller's thing, I think the movie was doomed no matter what. I think you're right. I don't think his comments mattered much at all. But when you have something like Blue Beetle, where it's not as well known of a character, where the character's bigger than, you know, I mean, even the director coming out and antagonizing the fans the way he did doesn't help his argument, right? Like, he can come out and say what I just said earlier out now, but that doesn't change the fact that he was going out there tweeting, you know, job well done when people were all triggered about the Batman line, for instance, right? Like, that's, to me, that's antagonizing the fans.
But where are these handlers? Where are these handlers saying, dude, you got to apologize for that? That was
somebody must have. He did. And I think James Gunn or somebody else higher up at Warner Brothers said, hey, look, like Nate was saying before, we are facing, you know, this movie bombing worse than Flash did. The only thing going for it is that it's under $100 million budget.
Yeah,
it was originally made for HBO Max.
Right.
So whatever it does do at the theater is kind of more or less just gravy. This character has a little bit of a following from the 90s kids. I don't know it that well, but like I've been told by several people that, you know, the younger kids know this character. You've got, this is the kind of movie that could set, you know, this Sholo kid, I can't remember his last name offhand, but the kid from Cobra Kai, it could set him into the, you know, the next level as an actor. So I mean, it has a lot of things going for it, but at the end of the day, the problem is James Gunn's rebooting everything. Some people know that. The other part of it is for a mass audience, most people don't know who this character is, and the more you shove in here from any other these other films is going to turn people off. The more of a chance that you have of people going into this movie not knowing it's a DC character or has any connections with anything else, period, the better off you are. Because I think that is the bigger problem people have right now with a lot of this stuff outside of the bloated, you know, they're just sick and tired of it, the multiverse stuff, what have you, all this other stuff, is they're sick and tired of having to see 12 Disney Plus series and 3 other movies or 5 other movies in recent years to be able to go into this one and understand what the hell's going on. The thing with Blue Beetle, at least, it's an origin story. It doesn't look like, at least this point, that they're attaching it to anything else outside of the Batman line. There is nothing else in it that says, oh, Superman's going to show up, Wonder Woman's going to show up, Flash is going to show up, any of that kind of crap. Yeah. So I think to the audience, hopefully the thing it has going for it is that people don't think they're going to have to do homework to see this movie, and it might be fun. It looks like a Spider-Man kind of, you know, humor as far as like the level of the tone. So I think that it might be okay, but at the end of the day, it's all going to depend on what people are in the mood for come August, right? I mean, people just haven't been going to movies, period.
To me, it's got the appeal of something like Steel or Elektra or Morbius. I'll just check it out when it gets to the home video or something.
Yeah,
same.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Let's shuffle on. We got 2 super chats here. Well, 1 anyway. Sorry, and it's from Douglas, 1985. VA loves horror for $4.99. Says Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, Beverly Hills, Speed, action movies. I love Matrix, Jason Bourne, Mission Impossible. Good action, stale characters. Oh, interesting. I used to like the Jason Bourne movies.
I think Matrix was just unrealized. Like they went off the rails with the second film.
Yeah, the first one's the good one. The first one's the good one.
It had a lot of potential, and the way they went with it was just like, huh?
Yeah.
If you like The Matrix, I recommend you check out Dark City if you've never watched
it. Dark City is great.
Yeah, Dark City is an incredible movie. Yeah, it's like I did a review of it, I think, and I just called it The Matrix Before the Matrix or something like that because it was.
Oh, I'll need to watch that.
I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty certain I did, but it's
well, they just overcomplicated the Matrix after the first one. Really, all it should have been from that point on is, you know, Neo is basically the Superman in this world of the Matrix, causing the Matrix a bunch of problems, more or less. And then by the end of the movie, you basically free everybody. The way they went about it was just odd. I just don't understand where they were going at this with. I mean, some people may be able to explain it to me, and maybe it has some kind of roots in anime or something like that as far as like where they got the ideas for it, because that was a weird thing. The Animatrix was brilliant.
It was. I was just going to say the Animatrix was great. And then you get to
the Matrix 2 and you're just like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like, what is this?
Yeah, no, you're completely right. I'm gonna search my video.
You did. I found it. It's in the private chat.
And hopefully Beverly. I said Beverly Hills. I'm assuming he means Beverly Hills Cop. We're getting a Beverly Hills Cop 4 this fall. So I've heard. I talked to somebody who saw it. They said it's not as bad as they were anticipating, but there's a lot of buts.
But it's probably pointless, is what you mean.
Well, it has the problem of they give Axel a kid. And she's an illegitimate child to a point to where he's been an absentee father and all that business. And then she gets herself wrapped up into something. And the other complaints were like, I mean, the good parts were like, we get to see Axel, we get to see a bunch of the old cast show up in cameos, but the daughter just doesn't have the same chutzpah or whatever you want to call it that Eddie Murphy has. They put her in a lot of positions to where she gets to do a lot of the same stuff Axel would do in a movie, and she just doesn't pull it off like he would.
Yeah.
Right. You know, like tricking somebody to get into the whatever it is that Axel's trying to do.
Should have been a son. Should have been a cocky
It was
son.
originally in a TV show that CBS turned down that actually had Eddie Murphy in it.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
Wow.
I have the pilot. I can hook you up if you
Holy
want to
cow.
see it.
Put
Yeah.
that on
I wanna
something
see
we can
that,
watch.
Tom.
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
want
I'll
to see
hook you
that,
up.
Tom, for sure.
feel
You know,
like I do.
isn't it always a kid that ruins it? Like on the Brady Bunch, didn't they bring in some nephew or something and it just totally ruined the show forever? It's like
Cousin
when
Oliver.
it's when it jumps cousin Oliver. Yeah, that's when that show jumped the shark.
Yeah, he was one of the first, and he's the one referred to the most. Yeah.
That's it. Yep.
Well, let's shuffle on now to one of Nick's favorite topics. I know he loves it so. Star Wars.
No.
The Ahsoka trailer dropped. I just want to focus in on this picture here. So Thrawn was revealed. Don't really like thought. Right, just my initial thoughts. Better trailer, right? It's a better trailer than the teaser that they released. Very femme focused, but that's Disney all over nowadays. It's like, of course they are.
Yep.
Why would you expect anything else? Grand Admiral Thrawn. Don't like his look. Not gonna lie. Don't think it translates massively well. But
He kind of looks
what
weird.
did you think? He does, doesn't he? What did you think of it, Nick?
I thought the Force is female in Rebels season 5, which is basically what this is Rebels season 5. Who knows how much Ahsoka we're gonna get in this, how much Thrawn we're gonna get in this, but we seem to be getting a lot of the Rebels crew in this show.
Yeah.
And you know, Dave Filoni came out and was like, you don't have to see Rebels to know what's going on here. But if you haven't watched that show, you're going to have no clue of the backstory of what's happening in this show. Of course, he's going to say that because he wants people to watch the show. But
Yeah.
Rebels was a great show, honestly.
I liked Rebels. I liked
That's
Rebels.
the last good Star Wars show other than Mandalorian season 1.
Yeah, I really liked Rebels, and we've talked about this on our channel on Echo Base Network before about how Lucasfilm is just really bad at titling their shows. I mean, Book of Boba Fett.
That was
What? Well,
was
there was no
Yeah.
book involved. There was no. There was 2 episodes with him not even in it. Then we get Kenobi, and it's more focused on Leia and Reva. You know, we get Ahsoka, and it's more focused like it's Rebels. Andor, you know,
and Ahsoka wasn't in Rebels much.
no,
She made a couple of appearances, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I don't know. I mean, who knows if this is going to be good or not? This show, my expectations are extremely low for anything that they do Star Wars related. You know,
What a shame.
So you didn't rate the trailer then at all?
I mean, I gave the trailer, if I was going to rate it out of 10, I just saw it a couple hours ago. I'd give it a 4 out of 10.
I'd give it a 6. You know why?
Right.
Because it's Ray's last stuff, and he's bloody good in the trailer. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
He's really good.
He's probably the character I'm probably going to like the most, and it's going to be so disappointing.
Yeah.
Is that the old heavyset fella?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great. The trailer, I do think the trailer looks good.
It's Ray Stevenson, isn't it? He died
yeah.
recently.
Yep, and then we're gonna get no more of him, you know, after the season. So
Yeah.
if he dies in this, then okay, then it makes sense. But if there's some sort of continuation where he's still out there, I guess they're gonna have to recast.
I can't
Yeah.
wait for Girl Power the show. I'm gonna watch it again and again, just like Cats.
Yeah.
I like the music. I like the music.
That just reminded me of
It's
something
like
else.
Tron almost, isn't it? Doesn't it almost sound like Tron?
I'm big on synthwave though. So
Are you down with that? Oh man, I gotta drop
I love
something in the
synthwave.
private
Okay,
chat.
but like,
you would love.
look, I might have thought this was looked exciting a couple of years ago, but I've gotten to the point now, and I hate being like the Debbie Downer of this fucking show.
No.
Like
Nick,
this
Nick's
whole
been
thing.
down on it as well. So
Yeah,
you're in good,
but I mean, I've been
good
down on
company.
just about everything but Blue Beetle at this point. Like,
You are defending Blue Beetle. That's true.
like I just really have lost all care and give a shit for Star Wars. I have never trusted Filoni. This to me feels like Filoni has come full circle and gotten exactly what he has wanted since the day that George Lucas said, "No, she's supposed to die in Order 66."
Yeah.
Yep. Now he can pretty much do whatever he wants because George isn't in charge. And sure enough, right after Disney bought it, he came out with the Ahsoka Lives shirt on. But something else in this trailer that annoys me. I'm so tired of hearing the rah. It's like they put it in everything, and I'm just like,
it's a cool sound. I mean, why not lean into it, right?
Yeah,
like a TIE fighter.
Yeah, a bit much. I don't know. Look, as a trailer, it's better than the first one. The music was good. I like the music, and like at the end of the day as well. The only thing, I don't know, maybe it's a moral compass thing, but I like Ray. It's a shame that he's dead. I like him as an actor. I think it was a shame that he wasn't in more things.
Yeah,
and watching his performance in the trailer, I'm like, that's the standout performance for me. I'm looking at it all. I'm like, yeah, that's like, I'm not seeing. The actor, that's a new character, whereas I look at the other people, I'm like, well, that's just actors, like, I don't know, like I'm more immersed in that performance. So I'm very keen to see his performance and what his character is. So I don't really care too much about anything else. And, I'd quite like to see him whooping Ahsoka's ass. Although obviously he'll probably get beaten, which would be a shame.
I think it'll be better than Kenobi. I don't know if I'm going to invest any time in it until a few episodes have come out. Are there any men in it other than Rey and Thrawn? It seemed like a very forces female.
No, I don't think there is actually.
And I'm wondering if this is just going to lead into the Acolyte, if that ever manifests.
Well, no, it'll lead into the movie that Filoni's making.
Okay,
won't it? I think is that the plan?
Well, it's all leading towards the sequel trilogy, which is the problem.
True.
Here, right?
Yeah, this is true. Well, Nick, is this going into that? Oh.
Yeah, and that's something else that I brought up when we were talking about Ahsoka last week on our channel. Is we already know whatever story they're telling here. I don't know what the story is going to be, but ultimately we know that Thrawn's not around. The First Order comes around, the New Republic's still there, and all that sort of stuff that happened with the sequel trilogy. So it's kind of like we already know the outcome. I mean, I guess you could sort of look at it like the prequels. We knew the outcome, we just didn't know the whole story of the downfall of Anakin Skywalker, which is what really drew people to the prequels, because that's what the story was about. But with this, what's the draw here? Seeing what happens to Ahsoka. She obviously wasn't around during the sequel trilogy, but we heard her voice when Rey's saying, "I am all the Jedi." So she's obviously dead at that point in time.
It's a good point.
Well, they are really banking on her being something
Rosario.
that people are interested in, and like I will say, actually, this looks like they've spent more money on it than the likes of Kenobi, even the Mandalorian. It looks financially more invested than the latest season of the Mandalorian, which makes sense because Filoni's on it.
Yeah.
But they are really banking on her being this next big thing, which is odd. I didn't think there was a mass appeal to it. I guess there is, but
I guess she's the last sort of fan favorite character from the animated stuff, right? I mean, unless they bring out what's Dr. Aphra from the comics, I don't know that she's got much of a following. It's interesting too that they've brought in Thrawn, because we had an event here. I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and it was Liberty Convention, and Timothy Zahn, who wrote the several Star Wars books, but the Thrawn trilogy. And Mike Baron, the guy that wrote Punisher comics and the Flash comics, actually for a while adapted the Thrawn trilogy. And of course, they were asking, what does this have to do with that? And this is it's almost like some strange hybrid of, it doesn't fit, the canon, and which obviously Disney doesn't give a damn about.
Yeah.
So I don't know who this is directly appealing to. And again, when I mentioned earlier, there aren't very many males. And this is, let's be honest, this is a male property. It's guys that like this. I know there are women that do, and I'm not trying to say it's not for women. I'm certainly not.
No, I agree.
I'm just saying it generally appeals to boys more than girls. And it just seems that that's been Disney's play for everything, is to try to make it more princess centric, and you can see that plainly in this trailer. Even though the trailer looks great,
Yeah, I'll give you that for sure. I will give you that for sure.
Think about what they did with Kenobi. What was the central figure? Wasn't it Princess Leia? And which was completely broke canon, because when Princess Leia meets Ben, she didn't say, "Oh man, remember those adventures we had?" Or none of that was there. There was absolutely no history between the two.
I love how people try to make. I ran into somebody who was trying to defend that. They're saying, "Well, we didn't see everything they talked about on the Millennium Falcon. How do you know that they didn't have a conversation?"
The mental gymnastics.
It's like, that's the mental gymnastics like I ain't never seen, because she didn't go, like.
She didn't even cry when he died. She didn't give a shit.
No.
No. I mean,
she sent the message. She's like, "General Kenobi, you served my father during the Clone Wars. Don't you think she would have been like, General Kenobi, remember that time you saved my ass?
You remember when you hid me under your cloak?" Yeah, of course. Of course. It's obvious. But Disney doesn't care. It's those kinds of ideas that come up that shock me, that get greenlit over at Disney, where there's not somebody to stand up and say, wait a minute. Remember when Leia met Ben? We can't do that. We got to think of something else. Somebody should have immediately shit canned that idea when it came up, and they didn't. And there's nobody over there to do it.
No, well, they're all yes men to Kathleen Kennedy.
And Ewan McGregor even came out and said publicly, it was supposed to be about me and Luke.
It should have been.
And they changed it.
That's right. It should have been.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, well.
That is hilarious. Well, shuffling on, we've got some super chats to get to before we move on to our next topic. So we got $5 from Tom Workin. Says Matrix, live action anime, Dark City, Lovecraft, thriller. Yeah, Dark City is so good. I love Dark City. It's an absolutely brilliant film.
Yeah.
Tom Workin for $2 says, what happened to the Star Wars that I used to know?
It's dead.
Dead and buried. Dead, buried, never to return.
Right.
Not under current management, anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get your hopes up on Rey in Ahsoka. He'll be defeated by Mary Sue, the bestest female ever. Sith are incels. Didn't you know that? Yeah, I know. Honestly, I know. Like, I'm aware that a lot of it is a sort of a rose-tinted goggles, because I like Rey as an actor. Like, I understand. I do understand. Now, let's shuffle on to something which I think we can all, well, probably not get behind, but is interesting to see nonetheless. Hugh Jackman is Wolverine again, but actually in the costume. Don't rate the costume that much. The long sleeves are a bit odd, not going to lie.
Sure.
This is, of course, for Deadpool 3. What do we think about this? We've seen these images before.
Yeah, they were making the rounds yesterday. Go ahead. Sorry, Chris.
Well, I think I wanted the brown costume. I wanted the deleted scene from the Wolverine. I wanted that. That's my favorite. That's the one where I first got to know Wolverine. But this is fine. Listen, I'm going to hold my real opinion on this until I see him in the mask. Get a mask on him. That's Wolverine. Otherwise, it's just Hugh Jackman playing dress up.
Yeah, okay.
Did you see some people that are speculating that he's got the long sleeves, Mr. H, because he didn't want to have to work out again?
Oh,
yeah. You know what? There is the potential that there's some padding in there. Like I wouldn't.
Well, because he's not getting much younger, and for him to go, because that was one thing he said in an interview, is like, I would love to play this part for the rest of my life. But first of all, it's a character that doesn't age like normal people, and B, I can't go through this regiment my entire life. He's like, I'm getting old, right? Because he's like in his 50s or whatever. Yeah,
he's 54. Yeah, he's 54.
I was gonna say 54. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you are completely right. I think that would be a part of it.
And it doesn't help that this is like the buffest that Ryan has ever been either. So like those two next to each other, it makes him look that much smaller.
Yeah, that's true.
Ryan's 46. He's not a whole lot younger.
No, but this is the biggest he's ever been in his whole life as far as how beefy he is here in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, like, because somebody put, like, and I noticed it because somebody put the old costume next to the new costume because this is a new costume. Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit, did he take a bunch of steroids or something?
No way.
Like his chest is like way wider than it used to be. Yeah.
Well, he's been really ripped for a while. He might have actually just gained a bit of weight, in fairness. He might
could very well be, but this is the first time I've seen him where he looked this buff to me. Like, yeah.
Well,
this is funny.
Yeah, 20th Century Fox logo.
I think it's hilarious.
This goes along with some of the leaks. I don't know if you heard them earlier on too, Nate, or not, where this is basically just going to be a wild romp through the MCU, the Fox universe, all this business. It's going to be... They were filming cameos for this already back with Doctor Strange and other things. That's where I believe a lot of the rumors started coming out with all these supposed cameos that didn't wind up there. Because we've seen Ryan Reynolds going around shooting these cameos. And that's where the rumors like, oh, is he going to be in Doctor Strange? Everybody's like, oh, Deadpool's going to be in Doctor Strange. I'm like, I don't think so. I think they're shooting cameos for Deadpool 3.
Yeah, just come on the Doctor Strange set and let's shoot this cameo. Right. Yeah, why not? It's smart. Are you worried that with the writer's strike, Ryan Reynolds?
He's not allowed to ad-lib, apparently.
Yeah, that's
ad-libbing doesn't work the way most people think it does anyway. I mean, they don't just literally usually have a moment. Very rarely do you get one of those actual spontaneous moments. Okay. Even ad-libbing is usually pre-planned to a point, but like, I don't think. Honestly, I'm curious how much ad-libbing they really did in the first two.
They say it's a lot, but I'm wondering if they're just trying to tamp down expectations for this.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, because, honestly, a lot of the times you'd be surprised what is scripted and what is ad-libbed.
Well, now isn't Ben Affleck and Elektra and Daredevil supposed to appear in this?
That's what I'm saying. That this thing is supposed to be so chock full of cameos. That,
how far back could they go? The original Spider-Man from the TV show?
Maybe.
I would love it. I think that would be great.
Knowing Ryan Reynolds, it's hard to say because did you see this? I don't know if you wanted to show this or not, Mr. H, but they had this thing with the 20th anniversary of X-Men. They had the cast reunited, and it clearly was just an advertisement for Deadpool. I think you can get away with showing this. If not, I shared it for you in the DMs, but here I can bring it up on screen.
What DMs?
Right here in the private chats.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It was from earlier. Yeah, because...
Oh, yeah.
That's real, you guys. Can you believe it's been 20 years since the first X-Men movie? 20 years.
Not judging by Halle.
Oh, you're not so bad yourself, Professor.
And Famke's making me think that I should have dressed up a little bit more. That's it. Hang on.
Knock, knock. Whoa, so many stars. Was that Ian McKellen?
Brian, the cast and I were all just reminiscing about the movie that we're all in together.
I hear you. You know, I love that movie. I hope it's okay if I join. I figured we were all in X-Men together.
X-Men Origins.
Yeah. Always good seeing you, Ryan.
I actually invited a few others.
Hey, guys.
Hey, everyone.
So many timelines. It's like a recap of Knots Landing.
2 professors, 1 cup.
What's happening?
It's just like the X-Men movies. You know, it doesn't matter.
Oh, sorry. I actually thought this was Game of Thrones reunion.
You know, Tyrion Lannister was in an X-Men film.
Okay, bye.
I actually heard Bond reunion soon now. Oh, God. Me too.
Split reunion.
Star Trek.
I love you, Patrick Stewart.
Bye, everyone.
That fell apart quickly. Ooh. Guess it's just you and me, Logan.
I guess so.
You know what that makes this a reunion for?
X-Men Origins reunite.
Yeah.
I bet
That
they're
was
all
brilliant.
in the movie. Yeah, I bet
Yes,
they're all in
that
the
was
movie.
brilliant.
Yeah, they have to be in there, don't they?
Oh, that was
damn.
totally planned, obviously, but it was still hilarious. Yeah.
But do we think this is going to be good, though? This is the thing, right? So it's under Marvel. It's a Marvel R-rated movie. It's under Disney. Do we think it's going to be any good? So they got the costumes. They're doing all the right things. They're saying all the right things. Do we think it's going to be any good?
It's the only one I got any hope for.
Isn't that a strange place to be?
Well, it was greenlit.
Put all the
under
prerequisites
JPEG,
out there.
and Ryan was the one who got it done. And I believe the only reason they got it done is because he got Hugh Jackman to sign on.
And it's
of course,
Tim Miller. I mean, it depends on what Tim Miller's fighting
I don't know if
for.
he's the director. Is he directing this one?
Oh, he might not be.
I think it's
No, I
the
don't
guy
think he
who
is.
did the new guy, or is it Tim Miller? Let me look.
No. Tim Miller was booted off the first one, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Look, whoever directed Free Guy is directing this. I can't remember the name.
Oh,
of the
yeah.
guy.
Yeah, he's been
Sean
Sean Levy.
Levy. Okay, yeah. He did this. He did the second one too, right?
Yeah, he's been working with Ron Reynolds a lot.
Well, I think a lot of it depends on what contracts were already signed before Disney bought Fox, and who knows? I mean, it's got a shot. If they screw this up, then Disney's Marvel universe is dead.
Yeah, that's true. But I think even if this is good, I still say it's dead because people aren't going to, This
Wait a minute! Didn't you hear that Robert Downey Jr. was spotted on the set of Captain America 4? It's not dead yet, Nate. Come on, Mr. H.
Who cares? It's whatever. He came out and said, "All men start wars. The planet should be a matriarchy."
What a clown!
Fucking honestly.
know.
Anyway, yeah. So it's Nick's just disappeared. So it's just us. So do we think it's going to be good? Yay or nay? Tom, yay or nay?
I think so. I think it might be fun.
I think it'll have some laughs. I do. I don't know that it'll be as good as the first one. What movie franchise is, but I bet it'll be better than the second one. I didn't really think the second one was all that great, personally.
Yeah, I think hopefully it'll be a step up from the second one for sure. Yeah.
I don't think the same actress that played Domino is going to be in this one. There's a couple of weird things that I've noticed about it.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see.
I did see a thing where what's his face is going to be playing both Cable and
Thanos
in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that Josh Brolin. Yeah.
Josh Brolin. Yeah.
This could. I mean, it has potential. It has potential.
Apparently, he's not going to be in this. Apparently, he's going to be Cable moving forwards in another stuff. So who knows? Who knows? It's all over the place with rumors at the moment, which is obviously how they want it to be done.
Sure.
Just real quick before we shuffle on, Nick, do you want to?
I had a work call, so I didn't hear anything you guys were saying, but I saw this. I was looking at the screen. I saw what you guys were talking about. I'm curious to see what they're going to do. I love that Hugh Jackman's coming back. I love that he's in the Wolverine suit. But from what I'm hearing about this movie, it's going to be not very good. But who knows? Maybe it'll turn out to be fairly decent. But from what I'm hearing, they're doing the whole multiverse thing, and this isn't actually Wolverine from the actual X-Men movies.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, it's all over.
But they could have, there's so much potential. They could have Wolverine fighting the Hulk. I mean, they could do anything they want. So it's really their movie to bomb. It's on
exactly.
them. You've got everything at your fingertips. Do it. Have fun. Poke fun at all of it. Some of the funniest Deadpool comics have poked fun at Marvel's big events. They really could have a ball with this. So it's really on them, and it is rated R still, right? They didn't change that.
Yeah,
it's still rated R.
I mean, you might as well lean into it. And I guess that really depends on who is producing this over at Disney. Are they really trying to stick to, we got to keep that same salty flavor, or we're going to get crucified?
See, I've also heard that he is not able to ad-lib or change anything during the film.
Yeah, we did mention that a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
We covered this.
Nate, where were you, Nick? Oh my gosh.
Which was another frustrating thing.
Well, I mean, my understanding of how it came to be, though, is like Bob Chapek is kind of the main reason this movie is happening as an R-rated film, from what I heard.
Yeah, that's why.
Because mainly, like, Bob Iger was the one who wanted to do that PG-13 Deadpool 2.
Do you think that Chapek is going to wind up being the good guy when this all shakes out?
I think he kind of already is, but I mean, of course, we follow a lot closer than a lot of other people.
Sure. Okay.
I think he just kind of he's lucky
He
he
got a
was
raw
ousted
deal.
when he was, in a way, because there was no way out of this at this point.
Yeah. So anyway, final thoughts, Nick. Yay or nay? Good or bad? Yay or nay?
I like it. Deadpool 3 is my most anticipated film that I want to see. Like, but from the stuff I'm hearing, I have
got to say
I have
yay or
concerns.
nay. Is it yay or
Yay,
nay?
yay, yay,
Yay,
yay,
yay.
yay.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yay
right.
with some reservation.
Oh, fucking whatever. I like your caveats. So we got 2 super chats here. One from Paul. I don't know what that is, mate.
Porphyrio Overtire.
Something like that. For $4.99 says Reynolds usually has 10 versions of the jokes pre-written. Will be fine with Deadpool 3.
I hope
But
so.
if he's allowed to, that's the thing. We who knows at this point in time.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. Accent seller for 50 Norwegian kroner says Tim Miller publicly complained in an interview that people in the industry are not returning his calls after Dark Fate. Ouch. I know. I did a video on that. That was hilarious.
Never post your L's, Tim. Never post your L's.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
Well, I can believe it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, he was just bitching and moaning that people weren't calling him back ever since Terminator Dark Fate bombed. Basically just lamenting his own career.
Because that'll help, won't it? Nobody's calling me. Does that make people start calling?
Oh,
Tim.
So funny. So funny. So let's shuffle on to our next topic, which I think will get a few people excited. A few people obviously will not care. I'm actually on the excited spectrum of this. Tentatively, James Cameron has confirmed multiple movies are in the works of Alita Battle Angel. Now, this is the closest we've gotten to any update on this for a very, very long time, because there's always been backwards and forwards, like lots and lots of backwards and forwards. So before we get to James Cameron's comments, let's have a look and see, what had previously been stated. So John Landau is one of the main producers. So in April, he was asked about it, and he said, "We're working on it. I think what we've learned from Avatar is how much more facial nuance and subtlety we can get into characters that we want to be emotional and emote to the humanoid." And then said, Alita would not have been possible unless we had Avatar, and then Avatar would not have been possible unless we had Alita. So let's put it all back and put it into Alita. We're talking to Robert and talking to Rosa, and all is good. So there wasn't really any update. It was we're talking, right? And then previously to that as well, this is back in December. He says, well, there's a little film called Alita that we'd love to circle back and do a sequel to. We've been talking to Robert about that. Hopefully it comes to fruition. Well, I can't put a time frame on it because you guys would hold it against me. So there's never been anything concrete at all until kind of now. So speaking to Forbes about why he was selling his California ranch, probably because it's, in shithole country at the moment, or county, Cameron revealed that all of his kids have grown up and are all pretty much out on their own now. But he would also say, and on Avatar, I'm working in Wellington and Los Angeles. And on Avatar, I'm working in Wellington and Los Angeles. And on the new Alita Battle Angel films, I'll be working in Austin. So it just didn't make sense for us anymore. Basically wanted to change locations because he's going to be holed up on 2 films of Alita Battle Angel. I mean, this is the most solid we've got of an update, because previous to this, there have not been any realistically. It's just those tiny little stuff from John Landau. But a lot of this stuff with James Cameron, you've got to take with a pinch of salt. So what do we think? I mean, what did we think of the first one? Do you think this is any solidity behind this? Excited? Yay or nay? What do you think, Chris?
I think, it's been 4 years, right? And since the last one, that one came out in 2019. And this really, it's like you either like this or you didn't like it. It wasn't it was, some people really loved it. And I was in that camp, I would like to see another one. I think there's room for it. I'd like to see it better with some better technology, which obviously they're doing. Cameron usually comes through. I'm not a huge fan of his Avatar stuff, honestly, if I'm being fair.
Yeah.
I never even saw the most recent one, but I would see this. I would go to see this for sure.
Tom?
Is Rodriguez attached to this? Do we even know?
As far as I know, yeah, because that's the last time I personally remember hearing anything about it. Was when Robert was talking about his whole thing with Star Wars was kind of, he was playing, he literally said it, and I'm paraphrasing, but in so many words, like he was playing nice for Disney in hopes that it would grease the wheels a little bit for an Alita sequel. And the other thing I think it was kind of hinging on was how well Avatar did, which most people expected it to do well anyway. But I'm assuming why we're hearing this now is because the checks are starting to come in for Avatar.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Hope so, yeah.
Well, I mean, if there's a one good thing that came from Avatar, because it's a fucking garbage film, maybe it's the fact that we're going to get Alita films now, because it did pretty well on. It didn't make money, right? It barely broke even, if that, which is a shame, you know.
Word of mouth helped it get that far.
Yeah, it did really well on home video. Did really, really, really well on home video. I like that film. You know, I'd like to see. It was just a wholesome film. With good action. Rosa Salazar is a great actor as well. She's incredible. She was in it was like some Netflix thing, some like weird horror, bizarre horror thing. Can't remember what it's called. Cherry something flavor or something like that. But she's really, really good.
No, that's the Amazon series.
No, she was in a Netflix series. It was something that's cherry flavor.
Oh, brand new cherry flavor. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah. And she was great in that. She's a great actress. I'd like to see her. She was really likable as this, and I'd like to see her back in it. So yeah, hopefully. I'd like to see Edward Norton fulfill his villain tease. That'd be funny.
Well, they've got to figure out how to make money, and that's the thing. It being a sequel, if you didn't see the first one, you're not going to probably go to see this. And there's always some diminishing returns when you do your sequel. Like not 100% of the people that saw the first one will go see the second one.
Yeah.
So they got to figure out how to make it cheaper, to build it cheaper, and then they can potentially do it. And you know, every time Cameron does more work with Avatar, somehow he figures out how to do this animation cheaper. Right.
Yeah. Well, that is true, right? So that is part of it. Is that was part of why something to do with the budgets of Avatar. They get, you know, cheaper as they get into the movies because the technology or something like that. And so if they're just transferring the technology straight over to Alita, then that will bring the budget down tenfold. You know.
I think a lot of this, you know, I don't know if I've ever mentioned it before, but I own a video production company, and there are ways to cut costs. And I think you have to be very mindful of how you can exploit all the time you have with particular actors, all the time you have on shoot days and editing, and of course the technology, this being all animated. Cameron, you know, he cut his teeth on Piranha 2. So if anybody can figure out how to make this cheaper or more cheaply, it's him. And I would hope that they could do it. I know Rodriguez is very passionate about this project. I wasn't impressed with what he did wasn't he on the Boba Fett or was he on the Mandalorian? I can't remember, but I don't remember being impressed at all. But
nothing impressive with that show.
But the thing is Rodriguez, depending on what it is, man, like Desperado is still one of my favorite put it on and let it play movies. It's great, right? Yeah. And I think that when it's something he's really passionate about and not just doing something for a corporate giant like Disney, it's good. And like Mr. H said, it's a wholesome movie, and it was well done, and it looked great. And I think they should lean into it. But I think marketing wise, maybe they ought to do some kind of push for the first one again, you know, to kind of re-release on home video or something, just to kind of warm up people to the idea before they come out with this one. Look at Tom. Here we go.
I just got that in the mail.
Nice. I love your physical media collection, sir. Physical media.
The Boba Fett show is what I was talking about. Like Robert, in his excuse, he basically said, like, I only did that show as a favor to Favreau and to hopefully grease the wheels with Disney.
Yeah.
Basically. And I think that was his kind of excuse of saying, yeah, that's why it fucking sucks, because I had nothing to do with it, really.
Do you say that publicly, though? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
do
at least he's honest with it. I got to give him that.
I'll give him that. Yeah, I don't know if it helps. But.
No, it definitely doesn't help. But you know what? I'd rather have a lot of these guys just come out and say, yeah, I knew it sucked. I'm sorry. You know,
Give us Alita 2. I'm good with it. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be keen to see Alita 2. I think, yeah, I'd be very keen for
First
it.
one was good. I liked it.
Yeah, it's just a harmless movie, like just pretty decent. I don't know. I like it.
And from what I heard, they're wanting to do 2 more.
Well, supposedly, I mean, that's what it sounds like. I mean, he's saying movies. So, but that also sounds like James Cameron's on board. But then this is the thing: do you take what he's saying on face value or with a pinch of salt? Because James Cameron has said a lot across the years.
Sure.
You know, he's also apparently said he was working on a Terminator movie recently.
Well, look, he's Canadian. You must remember he's Canadian, so there's no telling what he means. But that's what I'm getting at. I think that he's out there probably pitching for money. Right? Look, we'll do this back to back. We'll do them both back to back. We'll finish this out as a trilogy. We'll save a lot of money. We'll make it on the back end. So a lot of this stuff that they say in the press there's a motive behind it. It's not just being said off the cuff. There's a reason they're saying this.
Chris isn't wrong. It also gets people talking inside the studio too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they get a gauge on how popular something might be. But yeah, no, that's my understanding of it so far at this point. Because to answer your original question you asked me, Nate, I've never actually seen the whole movie. I only watched half of it. And I'm like, and I just quit watching it, never came back to it. It wasn't like I hated it or anything. I just, something happened or what got in the way, life, you know, and I just never went back to it. I never had the desire to finish it. So
that's too bad.
Yeah, I don't know if that speaks to
I'd
the movie
recommend
or not,
it.
but
no, I
just got to finish watching it one of these days. That's all. Because I actually like, what's his face? Christoph Waltz. I really like him as an actor.
Yeah, he's great.
I thought he was probably one of Tarantino's greatest discoveries, even though he didn't discover him. He was a German actor for years or whatever. But I mean, as far as bringing him to the American public,
yeah, no, I completely agree. So let's shuffle on now, ladies and gents. Just as a quick one, we got 478 people here. Smash that thumbs up button. This isn't because I want the video to have likes. This gets unlisted anyway. It's not for me. That's pretty evidenced by the fact that these podcasts get unlisted, but it's for you. So if you interact with the video, hopefully YouTube will notify you that these things are live again. So please do hit that thumbs up button. We're getting more consecutive viewers now, week on, week out, getting good viewership on these podcasts. So, you know, thank you so much. Genuinely appreciate it. Keep coming back twice a week, Tuesdays, 9 p.m. UK time. Thursdays is 7 p.m. UK time. But yeah, so hit that thumbs up button. Also, like I sort of said at the start, I haven't really said since, this is funded by you guys. So we're going to be moving on to a topic now that, will absolutely get us demonetized. So, and they get demonetized all the time. So super chats are the way to help fund this podcast and keep it on air, and also get your voice heard. We cover your topics, your questions, your input, etc. But let's talk about our final topic, which is Jim Caviezel and mainly The Sound of Freedom. So this movie, the topic of this movie is there's no beating around the bush, and you'll see why I sort of just gave all that spiel just then. It's about child trafficking, obviously. So pretty brutal stuff. It goes on all the time. It's pretty high percentages that is going on in the world. It's pretty brutal.
Have you actually seen it yet, Nate?
I haven't had a chance. I was going to reply to you.
I thought I gave you it. Yeah, I was going to say, I think I
you
gave
did.
you.
Yeah. So I need to. I've had. I'll DM you some shit stuff.
Because I just want to say, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the whole thing is the way that people are presenting this movie, I think, is doing it a tad of a disservice. It is about a very bad thing, but I think, Nick, you saw it, right?
Yep.
You just said you just saw it. Like, I think you'll agree with me. The way it's presented is very tasteful, and the emotions that people are feeling are a result of the story, not anything visceral, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not very exploitative. They don't get too deep into anything showing it. Wise, most of it happens off screen or is implied.
Yep.
This is PG-13, right? Keep that in mind as well. it's a lot tamer than I think some people are like presenting it as far as the subject matter goes. I just wanted to put that out there.
I was wondering
No,
that,
it's important.
Tom. I just got on Fandango and got tickets to go Wednesday night, and I was thinking that some of the people that were reviewing it were making it sound like it might be stuff that might include stuff that some people couldn't stomach, right? And I have heard that you need to take probably a box of Kleenex with you. But
again, it's more the story part of it
Yeah,
than it is
yeah,
anything they actually show on screen. Because
Mm.
I guess I just read an interview with like the people that made the film. They were talking about the child actors that are in the film. Like they made sure that the child actors had no idea what they were technically filming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I heard
yeah.
the child actors were fantastic.
Yeah, and because of that, they don't really exploit any of those moments, right? Like they could go into this thing like they could really show you the horrors of what goes on and really use
Yeah.
that to the movie's, advantage in some way to exploit the situation. But you don't even need that.
Right.
The emotions that people are feeling without giving away spoilers are just it is an emotional roller coaster. You're constantly on the edge of your feet trying to, even if you know the story, it's a white knuckle kind of thriller in a sense that you want this family back together, right? Like that's the whole thing the movie's predicated on. And this guy, he's trying to see to that. He's got one goal, and in the process of that goal, if he can save as many kids as possible, that's the point. But really, the movie is this overarching story of reuniting this family.
Yeah.
I wonder if some of the pushback from the mainstream media and some of the reviews are just sort of par for the course because these same people didn't care for like Rambo: Last Blood, Death Wish, and so on. And well, go ahead.
Well, yeah, nah, because yes and no, but it's they're masquerading it as that. That's the same attitude, but I think it comes from a much darker, deeper place, right? And I think that's quite undeniable. When you've got this movie, like this type of movie, everyone should be able to get behind, right?
Yes.
Like this kind of story, everyone should be able to get behind it. It's a universal story. Morally, if you have a good moral compass, you could just watch this and go, yeah, this needs to be out there so people get the word out. It's a good story as well. It needs to be on people's radars. There you go. Done. But the likes of Deadline, like Variety,
CNN,
it's far
Washington
right.
Post.
It's the far right media. This is the far right. What is far right?
The QAnon. It's the QAnon.
They're literally calling it, and this is a quote. This is a physical quote. A QAnon conspiracy fantasy.
Yeah. Like this didn't really happen, and this kind of thing isn't really happening out there in the world.
That just doesn't work, though. I mean, in other words, did they say that about Taken? I mean, the guy's teenage daughter gets kidnapped for trafficking. I posted a tweet a few days ago because I saw, the same outlets like Washington Post and Rolling Stone were promoting Cuties on Netflix. And then treating this like it's some sort of, like you said, a QAnon tinged thriller about child trafficking, that doesn't happen. It's kind of strange, really, to see them defending it. And I don't know if it's a matter of, are they just, we still don't know the names of anybody on Jeffrey Epstein's client list. So
no, and this is the thing I've been saying the last few days, and I'm glad you brought up Rambo and Death Wish, actually, Chris, because Rambo is more of the revenge fantasy that these guys are trying to paint
vigilante
this movie to be. Not at no point I would see. There's even people that are griping that some of the theaters are listing this as an action thriller. It's not. There's hardly any action in it as far as like that goes. But the other side of this is, I'm glad you brought up Death Wish, because at the time Death Wish came out, there was a pair of films that came out that really changed the way America was looking at certain things at that time. Because the 60s going into the 70s were a very, there was tons of turmoil in the US and throughout other parts of the world. Dirty Harry and Death Wish, though, were direct comments on the leniency of the left and how they were feeling that criminals should be treated in the system. And those movies were based on real events, as far as like Death Wish was about people that were starting to become vigilantes basically in like New York and other places where crime was rampant. Dirty Harry actually influenced the idea that maybe we need like a CSI or something like that to where we can start tracking some of these serial killers and stuff like that. Because at that time, the Scorpion Killer that is based on the Black Dahlia and the Zodiac Killer, who now they're starting to believe might have been the same person. See, that's why how important these things become. And not only that, one thing that we saw was the critics and the media were treating those two films specifically the exact same way they're treating this movie.
That's
it
right.
was a right-wing fantasy.
Yes.
Like that's what they kept calling a revenge fantasy and all these things in the press. And the critics were all saying the same type of stuff. And now this to me is ringing the same kind of things we're seeing here. Because what have we seen in the last few months here, especially not to go too deep into it, but the big mantra has been leave the children alone, right? When it comes to stuff with Disney, when it comes to all the medical stuff and all that stuff, not to get into that. I think this movie coming out at this time, this way, being the movie that it was, coming from the studio system, being bought by the producers and this Angel Studios, which that's the other thing. These Christian films or these Christian companies that promote and produce some of these films, they don't need standard audiences. They have more than enough people in their network that they just promote it to them and they don't force others to have to go hear about it or see it. This movie is taking on a life of its own, much like Passion of the Christ and Jesus Revolution and some other movies have in recent years that have come from that.
But this one doesn't have a strong, it
and
doesn't proselytize, does it?
No, and that's the other thing. They can't even really hang it up on that. They've tried to lean into that a little bit, but they're leaning more into the QAnon conspiracy stuff.
Yeah.
Because they can't even lean into, oh, it's just Christian ranting, you know. That would be the other thing they normally would put to something like this. But that's the thing is, it was made by the studio, so that's just a small part of the movie. You can't even really. They're really selling what little there is in the movie in the trailers.
Didn't Angel Studios buy back the rights though, from Disney because Disney didn't want to release it?
Yeah. But and the thing is, they're really leaning heavily into the far right element. That's what they're calling it. Far right this, far right that, this, blah 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 blah. Like it's bizarre. It's bizarre. We're in a world now. I mean, it's not bizarre. Like it is, but it isn't. But it shouldn't be this way, and that's why it's sad. Is that you're in a world now where something which should be common ground for everyone. And by and large, it actually is. It's just painted in the media that it's not. And the thing is, this is common ground for everyone. Near enough everyone can get behind this. And that's why you are seeing a bit of a movement in the Western world now pushing, like, no, leave the kids alone. Like, you've gone definitely too far now. But the mainstream media obviously perpetuates an image which is counter to that, to say, no, this is far right. You support this. It's not common ground. Oh, no. And that's what they're trying to do. And it's just, it's a shame.
I actually have a clip that really is exactly what all these media outlets are saying, the CNN clip, if you want to show it. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
That's CNN.
I think we'll be okay. I mean, it's just
it's news.
That's true. You mentioned this CNN. It's important, I think, to remember that the guy that was a producer for Jake Tapper over at CNN was accused of shocking sex crimes against minors. I wonder sometimes,
most people in the media are always.
I wonder if that's why they are attacking this movie. There's sort of this. I've been watching. I'm a little late to the show on the morning show on Apple. But there's this culture, and I wonder if there's a culture at some of these media outlets where, hey, man, I'm okay, you're okay, my girlfriend's a little underage. I don't know. But this is a great clip, by the way. This is worth watching. The Fever.
Because it really sums up the Rolling Stone review.
Yeah,
it
does.
So this is all about A Sound of Freedom, right?
Yes. And I got something very interesting to add to this whole thing. That you guys might not have heard about also that's going on, but I'll get into it after this.
All right, let's listen to this then.
All right. Ready?
And you seem pretty familiar with him because he doesn't really hide his association with this real wild plot that involves, drinking the blood of children and things like that.
No, he doesn't hide it at all. And you have a lot of people who are in this world of QAnon who say, oh, they don't know what that is. They've never heard of it. They're just asking questions. With somebody like Jim Caviezel, he is openly embracing it. He's openly using its catchphrases and its concepts. He's speaking at QAnon conventions. And this film is being marketed to either specific QAnon believers or to people who believe all of the same tenets as QAnon, but claim they don't know what it is.
And The Sound of Freedom does focus on a real issue of
Yeah.
sex trafficking. But that theme, it's sort of like that kernel of truth that feeds the QAnon
This is the rub
conspiracy
here,
theory.
right? Like, this
Tell
is
us
the,
how those two things work together.
this is how they try to.
Sure. And the most durable and the most believable conspiracy theories are not entirely false. There's something in them that is true and the rest of it is false. But the believers point to the one true thing and they say, oh, you don't believe that this particular thing is true. In terms of child trafficking, we know trafficking is real. We know it has real victims. No one is denying that. But these films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics.
That bugs me. I'd like to know what he's talking about as
These
far
films.
as bogus statistics in these films.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did he
Now, the
complain
movies-
about Taken? I mean, come on, dude.
Exactly. Or these are the same people that made Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't remember anybody going, that movie was almost completely bullshit, but hey, You're muted, Chris. You're muted, Chris.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm just bullshitting over here. It's ridiculous, man. You don't need to hear what I'm saying. It just it gets on my nerves that they're attacking this movie for it's based on a true story. How many movies out there are based on a true story that they start ripping into on the regular?
Yeah,
they
exactly.
don't. It's just we're here to be entertained. We're here to be moved. They're not sitting here trying to talk about CNN's producer who was charged with child porn and child abuse. It's just really strange.
I
I'm
can't
glad you
believe-
brought this clip up.
What was this nonsense about drinking the blood of children? or
Okay,
something
there's
like that?
okay.
What the
They're
fuck?
It's called
twisting-
adrenochrome. Look it up. It's
yeah,
insane.
they're twisting things that that the real Tim Ballard and Jim Caviezel have talked about. And actually, I'll address that in just a moment. And I know Nick really has something to say about this too. There's like 20 seconds left of this. Let's finish this out here.
Okay.
They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites, and only people like Tim Ballard and only people like Jim Caviezel, and by extension, only people like the ticket buyer can help bring these trafficking rings down. So there's a very participatory element. You're not just going to see a movie, you're just killing 2 hours on a hot day. You are helping bring down these pedophile rings and save children. Now, it's not true, but it's a very comforting and it's a very warm feeling to have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course it's not true.
That is
Nothing
not-
happened on
that is-
Epstein's Island.
Yeah, and I gotta.
Just real quick, but that is absolutely not what people are thinking that's happening. They don't think that they're bringing down pedo rings by watching this movie. They think that they're spreading awareness. That's all it is. What? How do these people get off on this nonsense? Like, how do you even say that with a straight fucking face? I don't understand.
It's a shame.
Fucking-
Nate, I want you to look at the link that I just shared, though. This guy's acting like this doesn't happen with children and these blood sacrifices, but the BBC has reported on children being trafficked specifically for blood rituals. This is not a new thing. That's from 2011.
Yeah, and I just had a clip up there from the Hollywood Reporter, who actually kind of was one of the few papers to actually say this in any kind of smart terms. But yeah, go back to what you had.
THR did? Okay, I'm impressed.
Yeah, they were just basically saying, even though these things have been discussed on QAnon boards, the movie is not a QAnon movie. Like, they at least were smart enough to say that. Yeah, THR.
Well, did anybody
Very
vote
good
for
article.
Trump? Because that's what I really need to know. If you voted for Trump, whether or not I can go see your movie. It's ridiculous. It's a shame.
Right, what did you want to add to
Yeah.
that then, Nick?
Yeah,
go ahead,
so
Nick, please.
So I don't know if you guys have heard any of this going around social media or anything, but allegedly there is AMC theaters seem to be trying to bomb this movie and prevent it from being shown. There's been a lot of reports out there going around, and I have an AMC close to me, so I actually went to the AMC by my house to go see this movie, and but apparently they cut the ACs off in the theater. Well, this movie's showing. The projectors mysteriously will quit working, and they have to refund people their ticket money. So
that's the biggest refund of the tickets. I wonder if that's just some sort of ploy. I mean, honestly, is Disney calling AMC and saying we'll pay for every ticket you refund? You can't beat Indy 5. What is the point?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say they would do that. Okay, there's two sides to this, and I wonder if Jonas is still in the chat because he and Pearl were going to actually look into this. And I was waiting to hear back from them on what they found out because I had gotten a few people sending me a few of these too. And yeah, there was I think it was an Instagram or TikTok video that a lady had put up where she had claimed this had happened. And then a bunch of other people had chimed in underneath it saying that it had similar things happen to them too. Now, what we concluded is most probable is either A, it's just isolated incidents and it's just, it is what it is and people are chiming in and lying. Or B, it could be you have some purple-haired land whales that work in these places and who are reading this crap and who are just trying to sabotage it, and it's just a few isolated incidences in that case. Or it's C, somebody from higher up at Disney may have called somebody higher up at AMC and, let's say, pressured them into sabotaging these for various reasons, and they wouldn't have to really offer them any incentives, Chris. All they have to do is say, we'll cut you guys a better deal on the Marvels or whatever. or they could threaten them with not letting them have something coming out or the next Avatar movie. You know, that's how, and Disney is, and that's the thing with the option C, is Disney's not above that shit. We've had several reports where they will strong arm these theaters into doing several things, and it's not a secret. I mean, even
that sounds like a
Disney
QAnon conspiracy to
exactly
me.
Right.
the thing is, I would understand, like, it is July, it is hot. I could see air conditioners going out, but the refunding people in advance without telling them why they're doing it and notifying them, hey, we're doing this because the air conditioner's down in that theater. We're very sorry. Please use this credit to purchase tickets for it on another date. But when I bought tickets for, and as I said, I have not seen Sound of Freedom yet. I'm going with a friend on Wednesday night. And with Wednesday night, Mission Impossible is taking over so many theaters that as I was booking my tickets, it might be, Sound of Freedom might be at this theater on Monday, but it wasn't there on Wednesday.
And that's
so
just
they had a very
Chris.
limited time to get this done, and I could see it being a sabotage. And
That's
whether it's
why
the land wheels, like you said,
that's the thing, is that's what makes option, you know, where it's just this look, because everybody's reporting, and if they're to be believed, they're reporting that all the air conditioning is working everywhere else but just those theaters. It seems
it's intentional.
And if the movies are being sold out, which they are, why is the theaters not just moving them to a different screen where nothing is being sold out? You can easily combine like an indie screening and not. That's the thing that's really weird. It's like, well, why wouldn't you just do that instead?
Why not refund the 6 people coming to see Indiana Jones and let the 200 people come in and watch Sound of Freedom?
Exactly, Chris.
Just to finish up my story, when we went to the AMC, the projector mysteriously stopped working before the film showed. And they were trying to refund our tickets or tell us to wait till a later showing in another theater, which was another over hour wait.
What'd you do?
I waited and then went and saw it.
Now, I do know the last time that happened to me was 1989 when I went to see Batman, middle of the movie between the reels. The projector failed.
No.
That's the worst. Right,
we stuck around. Yeah, we stuck around.
You know what's funky is I didn't have nearly as many problems back in the projector days when they actually had film, like you were just talking about. Compared to now with digital, constantly. There was a while. I'm always dealing with something. Yeah.
Don't do a Windows update between pictures. That's how you
Sitting here watching a movie, all of a sudden you hear boom.
So, guys, let's get to. Got 2 super chats. Then we've got one more topic that I want to get to. Black Saber for $2 says Temple of Doom is now alt right.
Oh Jesus!
Pretty much. White savior complex, I'm sure, or like, you know, grave robbers.
Well, they're even trying to drag the fact that this movie thanks Mel Gibson and got a little help from him too into this whole thing. They're trying to smear it, and that's just it. It wouldn't be too obvious if it wasn't so obvious, right? Like it's like overtly obvious.
They're trying too hard. I did hear that Mel Gibson came in to do a in the editing. They were trying to. They let him watch it, and he said, "Look, I think if you do this, and this, it'll be a better movie." I mean, Mel Gibson is a great filmmaker. He may not be a great
Oscar-winning
actor anymore,
filmmaker.
That's right. I trust Mel.
An accent seller for 50 Norwegian kroner says the left. Cuties, yes, Queen, love those girls. Son of Freedom, ooh, dangerous movie. Yeah, I mean, there's a massive level of hypocrisy about it.
It's weird.
But let's get on to something really good, which I can't wait for. There's a new Godzilla movie by Toho. What the fuck?
Oh yeah,
this came out of absolutely nowhere. Literally,
I've not heard that.
I've known it was coming for a while, but I'm surprised
the
we're
name
actually
of
getting
it. Godzilla
here.
minus one.
Minus
This
one.
is yeah.
So I've been reporting on Toho's rights deal with Godzilla for a while, right? And I remember reporting a while back saying that they're well, because loads of people are like, oh, MonsterVerse needs to stop making movies so Toho can make them again. Toho, they're not dumb. Toho was incredibly smart about this.
Yeah.
They made Legendary buy the rights to Godzilla with a caveat that they can still make movies right?
Every other year.
Yeah, basically. And so what they've done is they've allowed Legendary to foot the bill for mass marketing in the Western world, because that's what's happened. They've made Godzilla a name brand in the Western world, because it is now. And then they've gone, we're gonna make our own, and it's gonna absolutely clean up, because it is. This looks epic. Look at this. Super, super cool. Now, who's clicking?
I prefer Godzilla over Kong. Out of all the monsters, Godzilla's my number one.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're not American.
I agree. Nah, Godzilla's
You're not
sick.
American, sir.
I have since I was a kid. I just
I'm kidding. Of course.
His back lighting up and then shooting the fire/electricity, blue flame that he shoots out of. I've always liked.
Zilla's cool, but I've always just had a soft spot for Kong.
I like Kong. Don't get me wrong.
To me, it's Kong is the OG, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And he's also all American, right?
Yes.
The two things that he's got going for him. That's just my personal opinion.
Anyway, point is, they've been really smart about this. Yes, Godzilla, people knew what Godzilla was, but this is nowhere near as mainstream as it has been. So yeah, there's some people in the chat going, "Oh, it was already a well-known brand." Yeah, nothing like it is now. Come behave. How can you say that with a straight face? Yes, people knew it, but nowhere near as mainstream as it is now. Nowhere near as mainstream as it is now. And so what Toho's done is incredibly smart. It's the first Japanese-produced Godzilla since Shin Godzilla. So debuts in Japan November 3rd, and then we'll have a theatrical release in the US.
They have to release it by this year. Yeah.
So
next year is when Godzilla vs. Kong 2 comes out, right?
Yeah.
That's the only stipulation is they can't release them in the same year as a US Godzilla film.
Well, here's the sort of plot synopsis, I guess. Set in a post-war Japan, Godzilla -1 will once again show us a Godzilla that is terrifying and an overwhelming force, which you already get a sense of from the teaser trailer and poster. And that is President of Toho International saying in a statement, the concept is that Japan, which had already been devastated by the war, faces a new threat with Godzilla bringing the country into the minus. Now, I can't show the trailer because Toho are notoriously brutal with copyright claims. But what we will do is have a look at a little bit. Now, what I really like about this is that Toho's, I love the fact that they're so smart anyway about this, but I really like the fact that they're bringing it back to war.
Yeah. 27 seconds. That's your freeze frame, Nate. 27 seconds is the one.
We'll get there. But they're bringing it back to war because that's what it was. It was supposed to be war.
I'm kind of disappointed we're not getting a sequel to Shin Godzilla, but I'm fine with this too.
Yeah,
I agree. But doesn't all of this look good? Even this, it's sure it's a still and all that, but fucking hell, it does look good.
It does look good. Yeah,
I like it looks old. It looks like vintage footage.
Mm-hmm.
They've really nailed it. Like that, it looks so good.
Which I think is a neat approach too.
Yeah. Well, let's try and freeze frame a little bit.
I just watched it. It looks good.
doesn't it? Look at
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, he's
Dead.
huge. He's
Immediately,
massive.
they're all dead.
I'm surprised how beefy they made him look, though, because wasn't that one of their bigger complaints? Was that
Look at that
American Godzilla was too fat?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the one
well,
in the 90s.
Yeah.
No.
But look,
In the
but-
recent
No, the
movies,
recent
Nick,
ones.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. The recent one.
they
yeah.
actually slimmed him down a little bit. I think for Godzilla
Yeah,
versus
yeah.
Kong, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because the Toho guys were complaining, American Godzilla too fat.
Yeah.
But look at the
Too many cheeseburgers.
look at the color grading. It's
Mhm.
beautifully done. Like
Yeah, it
from
looks
a
good.
from a technical perspective, this is incredible.
Yeah. It's
Like,
a
it
neat
really
approach.
Well,
is.
I'm sure, like with Shin, they made sure they spent the time on the few effects shots they do have instead of trying to cram it to with wall to wall effects shots like they do here in the U.S. Because I mean, I remember somebody tweeted out the other day.
Yes.
They're like, "Why is it that a movie like Jurassic Park from 1993
Fucking
looks
look at
amazing, yet something now looks like crap?" And I said, "Well, the main reason is because Jurassic Park only had 52 CGI shots. The last Jurassic Park movie had like over 3,000 or like
Mm.
2,000 some.
Yeah. It
If
takes a
that
long
tells you
time,
anything.
guys. I mean,
Exactly.
it
They're not
is-
taking the time they used to. They're not taking the care, and
No.
these guys are obviously taking the care because look at that. That looks amazing.
Absolutely.
Doesn't that look beautiful?
Oh,
Like
beautiful.
even the individual staining on the teeth, you can see it here.
Mhm.
Like that's so good.
Yeah, it's great.
And there are shades of 2014's Godzilla in there, like
Yep.
absolutely, you
bit.
can see a little bit. But I mean that's smart. That's smart art designers. They take what works,
Yeah.
and develop it. you
It
know?
reminds me a
That's
lot
smart.
of the James Stocco. He's a comic book artist that's done a series of comics on Godzilla. James Stocco. It looks great. It just looks great.
I like what they've done with they
head.
kept the
Yeah.
It's a very
like-
purposeful grin.
Well, so-
yeah,
so
it is
the-
that. Yeah, sure.
Well, it's
But-
almost like the head crest.
He's
that,
gonna
you know,
tear
that
those
is-
high
That
tower
is what he's
wires
supposed to
down.
have anyway. But they've managed to
Agreed.
work it into the design
Go,
that actually
go,
like it
Godzilla.
works.
Yeah, that's very like that wasn't. Was that from the OG? I think it was a little later Godzilla that they had.
It
that
was.
Kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's still incorporating.
Yeah. No, my favorite design for Godzilla was actually the '80s version, the '85.
Same.
Godzilla &84. era.
Same.
Oh, I
Yeah.
Me-
think they've done
yep,
such
me
a good
too.
job with this. I am so hyped for this.
Yeah.
So and look at that.
That looks badass.
Yeah,
That's
that
cool.
that looks
Yeah,
that looks.
Now you
shit.
get actually a good look
Sick.
at him there. Look at him. That looks sick. Yeah.
Look at that.
What is the
That's
-1?
amazing.
What do you think that's?
I don't get that.
alluding
Yeah,
to?
I'm not
Yeah.
a weeb though.
Yeah.
So
Well, apparently, well, I think what it's alluding to, because it says after the war, Japan is at 0 and is going to fall to -1. So maybe it's to do
Okay.
with going back to the Stone Age, like they're going to
Maybe.
obliterate civilization.
that makes
Like,
sense.
See what I mean? Like after a war, they're at 0. You know, they've still got civilization, but they're at 0 because.
And Godzilla's
I
going to
don't
make
know.
it even worse, take him back even further.
Yeah, that's a quick idea. I have no idea. Look,
It
look
might
at
be
the
like
spines.
a translation of the way of saying it's kind of almost like a
Oh.
prequel in a weird way, like
Maybe.
-1, because like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Oh, I love
yeah, I
it.
think you're probably more right, Nate.
It's so good, so good. Do we think that there'll be another kaiju that he's going to face off against, or do we think?
I kind of
think
hope
it's-
not.
Yeah, I hope it's just him.
Yeah,
That's what I kind of found refreshing about Shin Godzilla is like, I love when he's fighting kaijus, but it's like you sometimes just got to let Godzilla be Godzilla.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be in a situation where he's fighting off something else to defend us. Sometimes it's just nice to see him,
But sometimes it's
destroying
not-
shit.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? Sometimes it is nice to get back to the bare bones basics of what it was, which was a cautionary tale of nuclear war. In effect, that's what it was supposed to be. Godzilla represented the atomic bomb, didn't he?
Yeah, he points out the falling of man.
Well,
I'll
Yeah,
eventually get all
so-
the lyrics from the song in here. You just wait.
God damn. I can't wait for this. I'm super stoked. Super stoked for that. Very smart, Toho. Very, 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 very smart. So we got some super chats. Dung is fun. $2 says Indiana Jones and the Dial of Dementia. Yeah. Dial of Dysentery, Dial of Decrepity. There's many comedic.
The
takes.
denial of disappointment.
Yeah, lots of denials in there. They were good. Dirus or Dyrus for $5 says, I want Toho to make a Son of Godzilla movie.
Mm.
We need more good dads.
You want it like, I don't know if I could handle it like the old school ones.
No.
Little
I like what
Gotsuki
Toho's
running
doing
around. I don't
now.
know.
What Toho's doing now is exceptionally good. I love what they're doing now. Like Shin Godzilla was good. This looks great. I'm very excited for this. And you know what? There's no Western shit in there either. Like, you know, it's just going to be straight down the line. Love it.
No, that's one of the things I
Absolutely
don't
love
mind.
it.
See, because I gotten yelled at for griping about a few things lately, and one of them being like that new Superman Legacy or My Friend Superman or whatever, that show that's on TV right now, the HBO Max one that looks like anime, and I've been getting yelled at for that. And I'm like, look, why is it I can't ask for things that are Western culture to actually be presented in Western art forms? I don't want
Nothing wrong with that.
my Ninja Turtles looking like, this. I don't want my
Like Dragon Ball
Superman
Z
looking like,
or
yeah.
Yeah.
If I want to
Accent
watch that, I'll
seller.
go watch that. Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you're completely right. Accent seller for 50 Norwegian kroner says Shin Godzilla should do an OnlyFans. Flex those glutes and biceps, baby. Beefy boy. Oh dear, oh dear.
Showing off
that's
some
good.
chin.
That-
Maybe he needs to
that-
show off more ankle.
That -1 is coming out this December, right? December 1st.
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah, like I said,
okay.
they have to have it in
Yeah.
theaters before the end of the year because
And then
that's
the Kong,
yeah.
Godzilla X Kong isn't that coming out in March next year?
Yep.
Is that
Yeah.
Yep. That's the
Wow.
stipulation, Chris, is that they cannot. The only thing they can't do is release a Toho
In this-
Godzilla movie in the same year. So they have to make sure it
Wow.
gets out before that next one comes out.
It's gonna be exciting times. Exciting times.
Well, this is the thing. Like, yeah, that gives the fact there's a drop of this. Yeah, I'm like, I've got another movie to look forward to.
Yeah,
finally.
right. Exactly.
Super good. Super good. That is the end of the show, ladies and gents.
Wow.
So we're going to round it out here. Again, just thank you so much for joining. We'll be back again live running the show on Thursday with a fantastic panel of guests as well. Again, on Thursday, 7 p.m. UK time. But before we go, please do check out everyone's channels and websites down below in the description box. So you've got Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge After Dark. You've got Chris Brawley from Bleeding Full. We've got Nick from Nick Talks Entertainment down below. And just real quick, guys, what have you got going on? Chris, over to you. Plug some shit. Go.
Yeah, well, we're gonna kind of blow some smoke up Tom Cruise's butt a little bit about his big movie coming out this weekend. We're doing a little look at the Hugh Jackman stuff, a lot of stuff that you've covered already here today. Hulu launched their big Animayhem. They're really going to lean into their animation and anime sub-genre channel right now. So, just check us out about every couple of hours. We've got a new story up at Bleeding Fool, and feel free to rake us across the coals in the comments or tell us how you really feel. We won't ban you unless you start name calling. That's the only thing that gets you banned at Bleeding Fool.
Tom Connors. What you got? Why did I say that? That's so weird. I don't say Tom Connors.
Oh,
Yeah,
whatever.
that sounds
Most people usually don't refer to me.
weird. Yeah,
just
Tom,
don't call me
what's
late
happening?
for supper. I got Midnight's Edge After Dark coming up here in 35, 40 minutes ish,
There you
roughly.
go.
So yeah, you can join us over there. We're going to talk about some of the stuff we discussed here, probably some more of this Sound of Freedom stuff, because the producer has now responded to the CNN video we watched here just a few minutes ago. So we might get into
very
that a
nice,
little
very
bit too. Yeah.
Nick, what you got going on?
We chill stream on the main channel over on Echo Base Network this Thursday. I actually did a solo chill stream for our Saturday night show this last Saturday night. But we'll have a panel. Nikki, X-Wing, Matt Rissman. Same for Saturday night. We'll have a panel of people on the main channel. Still haven't gotten any content out on the personal channel, Nick Talks Entertainment, yet, just because I've been so busy. But by the end of this month, middle to end of this month, well, it's almost middle, closer to the end of this month, I should be getting stuff out there regularly. I'm just trying to get it kind of built up a little bit first, but while I'm in my busy time.
Yeah, that makes sense. And as for me, ladies and gents, I'm sure a few people have been wondering where my chill streams have been on Sundays. Unfortunately, a few bits and pieces have just happened recently across the weekends, which were a bit unavoidable. Don't want to go into it too much, but we'll be back moving forwards. And as of September, this is important, so don't just disappear. I know we sort of, we say, oh, we're done, and then everyone just sort of leaves, like we've lost like 150 odd people, but we're over that actually. So just as an FYI, in September, I should be starting a master's degree. So going back into academia. Wow. Yeah. So I've sort of, I'm studying a bit of it now, basically. And then I should be doing that in September. It shouldn't actually affect anything. The only thing that should happen is that there will be a slight, so it's on the topic of chill streams, basically on Sundays. It may mean that the stream on Sunday that's usually on a Sunday gets pushed to another day, or it becomes every other Sunday, something like that. I haven't quite figured out what will happen yet with that. But we'll see. I've still got some stuff I need to do before it's 100% clear cut, but I've been offered a place. I just need to do some things first to ensure I can actually do the master's degree and become a doctor of something, as it were. So with Dr. H moving forwards.
Dr. H.
Anyway. Yeah, exactly.
Now you will have to keep the mustache. It'll be kind of like
yeah, funny stuff. But I thought I'd just let you all know about that, ladies and gents, because I know some people have been wondering where the chill streams have been on Sundays. They will come back, I promise. But anyway, thank you all for joining me. Thank you to my great guests here for joining me as well. Thank you so much. We'll catch you again on Thursday. From me and everyone else, peace out. Bye-bye now.
You call him Dr. H, doll.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.